Well, Gulbandin is carrying him off. Oh, I like this. I don't think I've seen an exit like this before in international cricket. Have you? On the shoulders?
Sachin was carried.
Oh,
in the
carried
shoulder.
well.
When he played his last game, I think Yusuf Pathan was the player who took him on his shoulder. And
I love this.
Yeah, this
I
is
absolutely adore this.
This is brilliant.
And because they don't trust him, Gulbandin, there are a couple of players on either side to make sure he doesn't fall off. That wouldn't be so good.
Yeah.
And holding his hands. Oh, wonderful, magical moment of cricket.
This has been exceptional. What a performance!
Yeah.
What a career it has been, and it needs to be celebrated. Given from where they have come with all the adversity and everything, this career needs to be celebrated, and what a way to do it! Brilliant. And the good thing is he's managed to contribute in this game as well. He's played a very good hand of 30 odd in this match, and a great way to finish his international career.
It is. Although I was mightily relieved when they put him down. Mightily relieved.
Have you ever been carried like that?
No,
by anybody?
I never want to be. Well, maybe my dad, okay, when I was about 2 or 3. He wouldn't want to have a go doing it now, believe me.
Yeah. I know that.
Yeah. But still, that's just wonderful. I mean, we have had in football an Arsenal player who was dropped on the shoulders. This was going back way back on a Wembley FA Cup final, and that was a serious injury. So joking aside, you need to be careful. But that I loved, and
Absolutely.
also it was really fitting. I was wondering just what exactly they might do, because they've been through everything.
They have.
I'd forgotten about the being lifted on the shoulders. He takes his glasses off as well, his sunglasses, his shades, and gosh, he's emotional. He really is, and it's hugs all round at the moment. So whilst they carry on doing that, and Andy Flower says all the best to him with a firm handshake as well. So whilst all that is going on, at the same time, you know, Pakistan with their 3 wins from 3, and now Afghanistan with their 2 wins from 3. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see the way this group continues to play out. And of course, we are now just 30 minutes away from another big one, India versus New Zealand, and it could be you getting a little bit emotional. Who knows towards the end. But that 98 for 9, Trumpelman not out 12, Schultz not out on 6 in Abu Dhabi. The highest score in the end was Visa for his 26, and the bowling 3 for 26 from Naveen, 3 for 9 from Hamid, brought into the team today. And he did a really good job. 2 for 19 from Gulbandin, and he carried off as well, his former skipper, which is terrific. Rashid with a wicket, his first ball from Rashid. 4 overs, 15 dot balls, 14 runs, 1 for 14. As I say, all-round good display from Afghanistan. Maybe, just maybe towards the end, they'll be a little bit annoyed that they couldn't finish it off a little bit quicker. We'll wait and see if that has an impact. That really is one of the few downsides of that performance.
Yeah, I think we need to look at the net run rate. Does that impact them at all? Not picking the 10 wickets, I don't think it would, as long as they won with a massive, and I think it's going to give them a lot of confidence going forward. And as you said, now second on the table, they won 2 out of 3. That's going to put a lot of pressure on teams like New Zealand and India. Whoever wins today, they're still going to be under pressure, because if Afghanistan can make one more upset against New Zealand or India, they're in it. They're up for it. They can qualify in the top 2. So yeah, all other teams will be keeping a very close eye on Afghanistan.
Indeed, and on monitors with the music playing in the background, we've got the card and a beautiful setting sun there as well. Gosh, that does look really, really beautiful behind one of the palm trees out there in Abu Dhabi. And we've got 2 players being interviewed here.
It's Naveen ul Haq for ripping out the Namibia opening batsman.
Naveen ul Haq, player of the match.
Tonight, Naveen. Please pick up your player of the match award. Pick it up. That's yours, but I believe you want to present it to Asghar.
Yes, thank you. I want to dedicate this man of the match because I have made my debut under his captaincy. I have played all my cricket under his captaincy, so I want to dedicate this man of the match on his last match.
Thank you very much.
And Asghar, how well did he bowl in tonight's match?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, thanks to my team, I win the game because very important for Afghanistan. Naveen today also showed his talent because he's famous on especially T20 cricket, his variation bowling. So today he showed his talent as well.
One question about today's match. What were you looking to do with the ball first time tonight?
Because I was having the new ball for the first time in this tournament, so I was watching the first innings carefully. I was looking at the wicket and their bowlers, how they use the wicket. So I got an idea that mixing it up will be a better option on this wicket.
And what was it like playing with the Afghanistan fans all around here?
Yeah, it's very special to play in front of all these fans. I want to thank them, each and everyone, for coming and supporting us.
And finally, Naveen, you're the player of the match. You've given your award to Asghar. Could you tell us what it has been like for you and all your players to play with this great warrior of Afghanistan cricket?
I think he is the best captain that Afghanistan has ever produced. In his captaincy, I have learned a lot of things. We have huge respect for him. Afghanistan cricket, everybody knows his name, and we'll be we'll be missing him a lot.
It's been wonderful to watch you play. Wonderful to watch you, Asghar, as well. Go well in your cricketing journey, whatever it may be from now.
Thank you very much. In the last one, my native language for Afghanistan people. There is a lot of support now. تاسو همیش خپل لوډر سپورټ کړو بیا هم تاسو نه زموږ د هیله ده چې مخکې مې کاینده کې خپل لوډر خپل روغان سپورټ کوي بیا هم تاسو سره ډیر زیات مننه کور بدن په عزت وساتئ.
Before you go, Naveen, what did Asghar say to the fans?
He thanked his fans, said you have all given us throughout the tournament, throughout my career, huge support and huge respect to all of us. Keep us in your praise in the rest of the tournament also.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know. As exits go from the international stage, you know, we're midway through a tournament, which is in itself a bit of a puzzle. But as exits go, I mean, that's almost perfect. That's a really wonderful way to finish. We must move on. We'll talk about it a bit later on. And you now need to get tense yourself and emotional ahead of India versus New Zealand. Abhishek, thank you for that. But more coming up, of course, another game in the World T20, and that's coming up quite shortly. But things not perhaps going Namibia's way today, but it's still been a remarkable few weeks for cricket in the country. Their head coach is the South African player and former Leicestershire coach Pierre de Bruyne, and he's been speaking to our BBC World Service colleague Lee James.
It's an amazing story, isn't it? It's become a global cricket story. It used to be a Namibian story, but what these guys have done is that they've actually shown the whole cricketing world, that a small nation with hard work and with a lot of passion and courage can achieve certain goals. We probably were seen as in our group, which was a very strong group, that it will be tough for us to advance. And then it became even tougher after our first loss against Sri Lanka. For me personally, it means a lot for this team and it means a lot for everyone here, but I think it means so much for the country back in Namibia, the people, the supporters, a small nation that, has always tried to get cricket going and tried hard, and people love cricket there, but it's different now. They've really inspired everyone back home. And that's all we wanted to do, is inspire to get young women, young men from all regions to say, listen, I want to be part of this amazing journey.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. 18 years ago, Namibia took part in their only previous World Cup appearance, lost all 6 matches in the 50-over World Cup in 2003. So this has been a long journey, many obstacles to overcome to get to this point. What would you say have been the biggest challenges then, Pierre, to get you to this stage?
I took over in January 2019, and I had a hell of a task to get a team back to where they should be. But the first thing for me was to get the culture right. The culture was unfortunately not a healthy one. And it's amazing. It's about 85% of those players then are sitting in this hotel. So it's all about the culture for me, that we had to get something together where we all believe in that culture, that we all trust that culture. And that's what we've done. I know personally how much hard work and sacrifice these players have put in. And what people don't know is that in January 2019, Namibia had 3 full-time contracted players. The rest worked full-time. They managed to practice cricket at 5:30 after work. But when we got our ODI status in April 2019, that was the key. That was ultimately the key to open the door for a more professional environment, for more contracted players, to invest in more support, in more resources, facilities, etc. So if it wasn't for April 2019 in that qualifier to get your ODI status, we would not sit here, and that's the bottom line. All that has done was to ensure that I can now contract 16 full-time players. Hell of a journey, I must say. Exactly 2 years ago, we sat here in Dubai in that World Cup qualifier to qualify for this World Cup. And again, we arrived here with not a lot of backing, and we ended up making the semi-finals, which was I think where this whole journey really kicked off.
And your captain, Gerhard Erasmus, has spoken about that team culture, that resilience and the selflessness that is needed. And is that, as you're describing there, through necessity then, because of the lack of resources, the limited number of players, the limited number of cricket pitches in the country, you have to have had that resilience to have come through?
Yes, and some of the things you've just mentioned now are the things that we sat down in January 2019 and said, what are the things that's going to make us successful? And the courage, the pride, the selflessness, the inspiration, those were the pillars that we identified. And we lived by those things every single day. Gerhard has been an exceptional leader. Alongside a head coach, I can't ask for someone better that has really, taken hands with me and said, let's go, let's do this, let's drive this. And absolutely, but it's come with a lot of sacrifice, enormous sacrifice, what these players have put in, what management had to put in, and with those limited resources, we still have limited resources, but now we keep on moving to the next level. Our benchmark right now at this World Cup will not be good enough at all next year in 12 months in Australia. And even if you're a smaller nation, smaller organization, you can't neglect the support and the resources around you. It's now for us a great window of opportunity for us to restructure, to realign our elite thinking as an organization, as a team, as a coach, myself, and isn't that exciting that we are actually in that position? Comparing to 3 years ago, you would have never thought that we would sit here talking about appointing a psychologist or a full-time strength and conditioning coach. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Well, it's incredible what your achievements on the cricket pitch have allowed you to do. And as you say, with that funding coming through, then the one-day international status, the exposure you've had at this World Cup, is all that enough then? Because several of your players still combine cricket with other jobs, don't they? Is this going to be enough to keep Namibia's very best players in the sport?
It has to be. We are financially in a better place. The success the last 2 weeks it will definitely attract new sponsors. It's already attract new sponsors. Qualifying for the next World Cup already, there's financial benefits coming with that. We've won 3 games at the World Cup. We've advanced to the Super 12. That comes with financial benefit. So it's got to be enough, and as I said, we are much better off financially right now than we were 2-3 weeks ago. And it's just important, and we have got the board, we have got the senior management, the CEO, we've got the right people to ensure that, we do not miss the trick here in terms of how we need to invest, where we need to invest. And right now, your biggest stakeholders are your players. They've put us on the map, these players, the last 2 weeks. And we need to continue investing in building solid support around these players to ensure that if we call them professional cricketers, that they are treated like professional cricketers in all aspects. So I've got a lot of ideas, and we as an organization, we forward thinkers. We don't sit now and think, okay, everything's good. And because we know that next year is a defining year for Cricket Namibia. If we want another 3-year cycle of ODI cricket, if we want to have a good World Cup, we need to 12 months now in advance. We need to operate now.
And have you shown the pathway through other associate nations, the way you have done things with Namibia? You talked about the games that you've had to play to get here, games with real consequence as well, when players weren't sure about their futures if they were to lose them. Have you shown a pathway for others?
I'll tell you that for me, you know, myself as a coach and where I've coached before at Leicestershire, before that, I tell you, it's something I've seen in associate cricket and in these qualifiers, that ODI qualifier in April 2019, the Africa T20 World Cup qualifier in Uganda, the T20 World Cup qualifier 2 years ago here in Dubai. It's brutal. It is brutal. There's nothing in the middle. It's either yes or no. It's either make or break. It's either qualify or non-qualification. There's nothing in between for you. And that is what I've realized in associate cricket as a coach, and what these associate players must go through. You look at the Oman, the PNG teams that were here that didn't advance, the islands. Okay, Ireland's not an associate country, but you look at those, they're good teams and they didn't make it. They're very good teams. You look at the USA and the UAE, they didn't even come here. They didn't even qualify. And they're good teams. And for me, I'll tell you what, it is brutal. It's brutal. And to see when a team does not qualify or advance or etc., I really feel sorry for those teams. You know, I really do, because I know what those players are going through. I know what they're going through. It's they give everything up just to play full-time cricket, and that can go away like that. I tell you what, I've seen a lot in my life as a coach, but I really battle to explain to people how brutal it is.
Just a final thought then, Pierre, and what has this done then for Namibia, for cricket in the country, playing in front of these huge global audiences and knowing now that obviously you're going to the next World Cup as well?
It's done so much back in Namibia. The whole country, the whole country is talking about cricket. It's talking about this team. There will be festivals tomorrow in parks, at rugby stadiums, at schools or whatever, for them to watch this cricket on the big screen. You know, the beauty of this is that it's actually woken up so many people that didn't even know there was cricket in Namibia. It's woken up an 8-year-old boy saying, wow, I really want to watch the Eagles tomorrow. I want JJ Smith's signature. I want to go buy a shirt. And that for me is such an amazing thing. You know, we've had so much support, and it's great. I mean, every country has got support, but we've now got support that we have never had.
Well, we wish you the very best. Pierre, thanks so much for talking to us.
Pleasure. Always great. Thank you.
And despite the defeat today, no doubt, hopefully they still had a great time with their cricket festivals in the various parks in Namibia. 62-run defeat, though, to Afghanistan, and good to hear from Pierre de Bruyne talking there with Lee James as the Namibia coach, and there is much more to come. You've got to hope so, and actually on the evidence we've seen, there is likely to be so as well. They really will build some momentum, because there's more cricket to come in this competition for them, but hopefully on beyond there, of course. Now, let's turn our attention to India versus New Zealand. The first game is now completed, that game between Afghanistan and Namibia. So we move from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. A crucial game for India and New Zealand, such as the strength of Pakistan in this group so far from the Super 12s, trying to qualify for the semi-finals. The match itself is due to start in around about 14 minutes from now. The toss has taken place, and looking after matters out in the middle was Simon Dole.
Dubai International Stadium ready to rock tonight. It's India against New Zealand at this wonderful venue. I've got the two skippers alongside me. Virat Kohli is here. Kane Williamson and Ranjan Madugali is our ICC match referee. Virat, you've got the coin.
Tails is the call.
Tails the call.
It is tails, New Zealand.
Kane, you've won the toss. What are you going to do and why? Yeah, on the dot, please.
Got it, yeah. We're going to have a bowl. Obviously a little bit of dew factor at this time of the year, so try and make use of it first up. Hopefully a little bit of movement in surface like we saw the other night, and yeah, so we'll look to chase.
How's your 5 days off been?
Yeah, quite a long time, but it comes thick and fast now, so you know, important for us to regroup and train hard as we did, and look forward to another great challenge against these guys who are obviously one of the favourites in the tournament.
Tell me about your team news.
So we got one change. Adam Milne comes in for Tim Seifert.
So who will keep?
Devon Conway will keep.
Okay, and Milne, and just to give you that little bit of extra bowling?
Yeah, it just provides us with a nice balance to the bowling attack, so you know, brings that extra pace as well for us, so yeah, exciting to see him on show.
All right, enjoy the occasion, eh?
Cheers. Go on, brother. Enjoy.
Virat, you've got a set. I'm sure you would have bowled, but how do you feel about batting, and what do you have to do well?
Yeah, look, I mean, we would have bowled first as well, pretty honest. Other than that, the learnings from the last game are obviously to have a solid start. You need wickets in hand to get those extra 20-25 runs, as we spoke last time around. And we do have the bowling lineup to pick up wickets, but when you don't have enough runs on the board, then one partnership can take the game away from you. So we understand that, and the target or the plans that we have are to get those extra runs when we bat first.
Do you remember the last game? It was 7 days ago. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're playing twice in 10 days. It's you know, too long a break, but yeah, the guys have recovered well, had good practice sessions, are itching to go on the field again, which is a good thing. When you have so many days off, you want to get back onto the park and get into the groove of things. So yeah, look, it's another opportunity for us to come here and correct the things that didn't happen well in the last game, and the boys are ready to go.
Changes for you?
We got 2 changes, one forced change. Suryakumar Yadav has got a back spasm, lower back spasm, so he misses out. Ishan Kishan replaces him, and Shardul Thakur comes in for Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Nice shout for Ishan there. Is he going to open the batting? Can I ask you
Yes,
that?
he will bat at the top of the order, yes.
Good man, Virat. Enjoy the night, eh?
Cheers,
Go
thanks,
well.
Simon. Thank you.
There you go. It's Kane Williamson in New Zealand who have won the toss here, and they will bowl first.
Ishguar is staying with us, and she'll be bringing us some commentary shortly. Don't worry, you're not on just yet. You can still carry on enjoying your lunch or whatever you're having there. Abhishek Junjunwala is staying on as well, delighted so, former IPL player, and we're joined by Ravi Vapara, World T20 winner, of course, with England. Welcome back. You've been here in the competition, of course, before. But in terms of those changes, let's start off with you, Abhishek, and India. You were talking about possible changes. Seemingly one of them has been enforced with the back spasm there, but what do you make of the 11 turning up for India?
I think it's a strong 11. The problem with India is when you have so many players to pick from, if you get it right as a captain, you're brilliant. If you get it wrong, then people start talking, you should have picked that guy, you should have picked that guy. It's all in hindsight is a great thing. But again, if you have that many players to pick from, I mean, and you're all quality players, it's sometimes very, very difficult for the captain to pick the right 11 because you don't know which 11 is the right 11.
No, indeed, and always questions, of course, with every international team, but seemingly with India, it's really under the microscope, every single one, and that's why the captain, whoever it may be, and seemingly with Virat Kohli, he seems to carry that pressure quite easily upon those shoulders.
He's done it over the past, he's done it for a long time, and this is his last tournament as a T20 captain for India, so he would want to make a statement. If India could win it, that'll be the best result for him. And when they came into the tournament, they came in as favourites anyway because they've been in the Middle East for the last month and a half for the IPL. They're well prepared. They're well adjusted to the conditions and the pitch. So yeah, you could expect good things from them. But again, they're under a lot of pressure after losing the first game.
Both these teams, though, these teams, with Pakistan making a strong start, Afghanistan still looking in the business, still looking as they could pull off. It would be a shock for them to get through. I think it would be a shock for them to get through to the semi-finals. However, we know the progress they've been making, Afghanistan. We'll put them to the side for now. But there is pressure because of that. Now, let's turn to New Zealand. Ravi Vapara, Adam Milne, you will have faced him, you know all about him. He comes in, finally is allowed to bowl as the replacement for Lockie Ferguson with his injury. What do you make of the New Zealand 11 today?
It's a good team. It's a good all-round team. A lot of them guys have played a lot of T20 cricket around the world, a lot of franchise cricket. So they're used to this type of pressure, I would say. And it is a big game for them. They've got to win. But coming up against this Indian team, when you just look at the lineup, it looks a formidable lineup. Even though they lost their first game, I won't be too worried about India. But New Zealand, the only thing with New Zealand is that they haven't really gone on and won ICC tournaments. So, you know,
they came pretty close to winning one.
Yeah, they came close, but they haven't won one. So I mean, you know, they're under pressure. They've got to almost learn their way into winning, and it's such a short competition. So they're in a difficult place right now, I think.
Well, they have, of course, World Test champions. We must. I know that you're talking here about tournaments. I understand the difference there, and the narrowest of margins, of course. But is that a point you agree with here? That the experience that India bring in, and maybe a little bit more pressure on New Zealand for this game here. No?
There will be more pressure on New Zealand, but there will be pressure on India as well, because the last three ICC events India has done and played in New Zealand, they've lost all 3 matches. They've lost against them in the 50 over. They've lost the last 2 T20 World Cup matches when they faced them as well. So there's pressure on both sides. I think India will also be under a lot of pressure. But yes, as Ravi said, that on paper, if we go to both sides, India looks a far better and far stronger side. It's all about going out there and doing it in the middle.
My only worry for India is they haven't played any competitive cricket for, 7 days?
10, I think, yeah, 7 days.
That's my only worry for India, because if you start slow in a T20 game, you can almost be out of it straight away. Whereas New Zealand have just played recently. They played against arguably the best team in the tournament, Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that will give them, even though they lost, it will still give them confidence going into this game, knowing they just played recently, played a hard game as well against Pakistan. So that's
all
my
right.
only worry.
Well, we've got the anthems now. We can sit back. We've got a cracking game coming up. Here's New Zealand. See how it all plays out this afternoon, and it's a lot of this is down actually also to the excellence, the wonderful start that Pakistan have made, and what I like about that is that the Pakistan Super League, their T20 competition is often overlooked, and people keep telling me that it's one of the best, Ravi. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think internationally we're starting to see some of the riches and rewards of that now.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to this one. India and New Zealand. New Zealand winning the toss and electing to field first. That's all pretty self-explanatory at the moment, isn't it, with the dew factor and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of talk about this dew playing a part in the second innings. From the experience of playing in Dubai, I played a lot of cricket in Dubai. It hasn't had massive effects in the past when I've played there. I'm just wondering whether it's because of the time of the year. I normally go over and I've played a lot of my cricket in sort of February time, January time. I just wonder if it's this time of the year you get more dew on the field, and if that's what's making teams want to chase.
I just love the build up to this, actually. Oh, just a quick word. Joss Buttler, in one word.
He's a gun.
Okay, well, you use more than one, but I'll take gun. I'll take gun for that one, yeah. That was very special, wasn't it, yesterday? It really was. And England going well in the competition. Now, who are they going to be facing later on? Will it be India, New Zealand? We're almost certain, of course, of Pakistan and their progress through to the semi-finals, but and Afghanistan, keep mentioning them as well. So much at stake in this group. And we're going to see India about to begin their innings. Good crowd in and a lovely atmosphere. The competition was good over the first week. It's taken a little while to get going, but the last couple of days we've seen some terrific cricket. If you're an England supporter, you may have enjoyed it a bit more than Australian supporters in the last 48 hours, of course. And the players take the knee. Looking here, all the New Zealand players, from what we can see on the monitor, take the knee. Out in the middle there. And ground almost falls silent to do so, and now back up, and we are about to get this game underway. The umpires we know quite well, Race Erasmus and Richard Kettleborough. From South Africa, the TV umpire is Adrian Holdstock. So those are the officials, and as I say, on the field of play, Erasmus and Kettleborough, two very experienced international umpires. Trent Boult with his left arm is going to bowl the first delivery. 36 matches of T20 international cricket, 47 wickets, so he's pretty close to a milestone. Every chance he could easily get them tonight, those three. A wonderful performer, again, seems to have been around forever, Trent Boult.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, and has done ever so well. Southey, of course, also involved. Boult bowls, and the first ball is faced by Rahul. Has to turn round. Thought about pushing hard for a single. Thought better of it. Almost an early mishap at the start of proceedings here.
I'm sure the Indian batsmen will be very watchful here at the start, especially against Trent Boult, because in the past I think the Indian batsmen have really struggled with left arm swing. You know, when the ball's coming back into them, a lot of their top order do struggle against it swinging back into them. A lot of them fall over, or they plant their front foot pretty early. So they have to be watchful, make sure that Boult doesn't get off to a flyer.
One of the changes, of course, is Kishan. He's at the non-striker's end at the moment. It's Rahul facing, and push square. And you see on the boards, just as you say, being a little bit watchful here. Pushing hard, looking to see if there's an opportunity, but deciding against it at the moment.
I thought they'd stole a single there.
Well, that's why I was needing it to be double checked. Thank you for backing me up on that. I thought they may have but actually what they're doing is they're backing up the point you make. I mean, they're not taking a risk out there. They're just going to perhaps take a little bit more care. Kane Williamson ordering around. I really thought that Kane would have got rid of that beard a few years ago. He's been carrying that now for a few years, but he must like it. And there's nothing wrong with beards, don't get me wrong. It's just that it all seems to hang quite heavy on his face. Oh, they did steal a single, beg your pardon. Finally the ball catches up, and they did steal one. So Kishan now is facing. Forgive us on the monitors, we don't always get to see what we need to and as quickly as we need to, but Rahul is on 1. Kishan at the other end. And New Zealand, yeah, they've had their moments of great pain and agony in tournaments. So close on so many occasions. They came into this ranked 4th, weren't they? 4th highest in the ICC rankings in this format. LBW appeal hits him on the pads. Kishan, umpire Kettleborough is unmoved. Lots of nodding going on there, but I'm not too sure if they're going to go for the review. And judging by the reaction there of Kane Williamson, no.
Well, it looked close. I mean, it was a brilliant piece of bowling. He swung every ball so far then. Just that one he brought back into the left-hander, which surprised the left-hander. It was a scrambled seam, so clever bowling, and it looked a lot closer than we originally thought. I'm surprised that they didn't go upstairs, because at least it looks like they would have got umpire's call and retained their review.
And there's 2 slips in, they all went up. This one is steered to Phillips, who's fielding its backward point. One of the... It doesn't come easily to me, the term gun, as it does to some of you others, but one of the gun fielders out there, and he's taken up his position there at backward point. And umpire score he was given. Just having a look there, we've just seen a replay of that. So it wouldn't have gone their way in the end, but certainly worth a question from what we've just seen on that evidence.
Yeah, I think you could see that it was going to go on and hit the stumps. It was just a matter of they were going to get the 3 reds.
So Shan in, pushes to the offside, square again. So just the 1 run coming from that Trent bowled opening over. Rahul on 1, Kishan facing 4 deliveries, yet to get off the mark in what is, must-win territory already in the second game in the tournament. That's because of the strength of Pakistan. There looks to be a really good number. I don't know if this figure has changed or not, but my understanding was at the beginning of the tournament they were looking for 70% capacity. If possible. It's impossible at this distance to be certain of whether they've got that. You would imagine they should do for a game of this magnitude, but there's certainly a lovely atmosphere.
Yeah, there always is when India's playing. You know, they've got the biggest support base, fan base, whatever you want to call it, around the world. Wherever you go, wherever India go, it's almost a home game. Apart from the conditions, the fans are always outnumber the home teams. They're brilliant. I mean, that's how big cricket is in India.
Yeah. And why that so much is riding on this. Perish the thought they don't make the semi-finals. Perish that thought. We'll see. We're a long way off knowing that yet, but big game today. Big game. Rahul is back on strike. 1 not out. Southey it is, bowling the second over, and a good straight delivery first up. Mr. Reliable. God, this pair again. They've been operating as a pair seemingly forever. Doing a terrific job for New Zealand. The thing is that New Zealand do have bowlers coming through still. They'll get by when one or both decides that they've had enough, but gosh, what servants they've been to New Zealand and world cricket, this pair.
Well, they work brilliantly as a partnership, you know. They're both swing bowlers of the ball. They're quite smart the way they use or which balls they want to use to swing and hold back.
Southey to Rahul again, nice and straight. Tries to find a gap on the onside. Give very little away. Very
little away. I think it was a brilliant opening over from Trent Bolt. He swung the ball to the right-hander, swinging it back into him, and then obviously swinging it away from the left-hander. It just emphasised the struggles that India have against the swing bowling of left-armers. It showed by only going for 1 run. No shot played at him as well. Every shot was a defensive shot. So they were very, very watchful.
Rahul's got his 1. Can he make it 2 here? No, again. Can't find the gap. Just, well, I'm not even looking for the gap really at this stage. Just playing that very steadily to backward point.
It does look a really nice pitch. Just from, you know, the first 8 or 9 balls, you're seeing the ball is coming on. It's got a little bit of bounce in the pitch. So it does look a decent pitch to what we have seen in the UAE. I mean, we've seen some low scores, some sluggish pitches, but this one looks all right. It looks like there's a bit more in it for the batsman to score.
Indeed. But at the moment, they've only got 1 on the board. Midway through the second over, Southey bowls again. In the air, outstretched arm of the fielder, just on the edge of the circle. It runs all the way to the boundary. Rahul moves to 5, and India up to 5 for no wicket in this second over.
That's a much needed boundary. They were under pressure there. They were only on one run previous to that ball, so they had to get a boundary. They had to release the pressure, and that's always the danger actually with having your mid-on in on the one, that the batsman can just loft it over his head, and he only got half a bat on that. He hardly hit that. It just carried to the 30-yard circle. So if mid-on was on the circle, sitting on the circle, it would have been an easy catch, about waist height.
Milne couldn't quite grab it, had a go, and this one is pushed to the left of Southey, who has it beats him to his left, but as it beats him, he carries on his steer back to the batter, as if to say, you dare, you just dare. There's somebody behind me who may be able to. I mean, that just would have been an outstanding piece of fielding. It's way over the top of him in the end. But
I say easy catch. No catch is easy. There's no such thing.
No, I guess not. Although we sometimes are hard and cruel on fielders when we say, how did you drop that? 5 for no wicket. We're in the power play, of course, in this Group 2 game.
It's still swinging as well. The ball's still swinging at this stage.
And it is Southey to come in and bowl, and angled into a big enough gap to go through for a single. So he will keep the strike as well after 2 overs. Rahul, he's on 6. Kishan's faced 4 deliveries for naught at the moment, and India at 6 for no wicket after 2 overs. How many overs would you expect that to last in T20 cricket?
Well, normally it lasts a few deliveries, but it just seems to be, we've had 2 overs now, and even the last ball of that second over, that swung a little bit as well. So there's it looks like there's some swinging conditions out there, and whether New Zealand can exploit them, we'll see. But India under pressure now because they've got to score. They've only got 6 runs from their first 2 overs, although they've got all their wickets intact still, but they need to get the scoreboard going.
I wonder what that chat was about, whether it was along the lines of what you were saying. Maybe this pitch is a little bit better than we might have been thinking coming into the game. They've had a good long hard look at it, of course, their arrival at the ground today, but
which India have to bear in mind. If the dew does settle, then it'll be a lovely pitch for New Zealand to bat on.
Bolt continues with his second over. That one's pulled by Rahul, doesn't time it perfectly, and therefore will get just the 1. He will move to 7, and as he moves to 7, India moves to 7. It puts Kishan back on strike here again. But yes, I don't know, there's something about the start of this game matches my mood about it, which is tentative.
Yeah,
it's
feel like
a bit of a thriller, yeah. Who's going to give first? What sort of chinks are we going to find in the armour as this match goes on? Wonderful cricket. Kishan, so he had to get off the mark, and Bolt will bowl to him now. He will get off the mark there, will he? Up and over mid-wicket. Nice looking shot actually all the way to the boundary. So from this 5th ball faced, Kishan finds the boundary for 4, and India to 11 for no wicket in this 3rd over.
Yeah, Trent Bolt just over pitching there a little bit again, looking for some swing, but you can't blame him. It's his strength. It did swing a little bit, but it was very well watched by Ishan Kishan. He watched it all the way onto the bat, lofted it over wide mid-on, where it bounced a few times and rolled out to the boundary. So very good shot, very calculated shot, and the percentages were with him.
Kishan on 4. Into the body there of Kishan. Good comeback from Bolt, as you would expect. He's not going to get flustered by too much. No Rohit Sharma at the top. Instead we got Rahul and Kishan, the opening pair. Remember, you can also follow this game on the BBC Sport website and app. You'll find text commentary with video clips of the action during the match as well. And if you missed the England win yesterday over Australia, there's also action from that game up on our website, as well as the podcast review available on BBC Sounds. Just look out for the Test Match special stream for all of that. So many ways of following and getting involved with the World T20. As I say, the competition really has ignited in the last couple of days, and I've just got a funny feeling that this match here today is just going to continue that momentum. Midway through this 3rd over. Oh, and I think that fell just short of the man on the edge of the circle there, down at short 3rd, I think. It's Phillips. I mean, he's quick. He's a demon fielder. Let's have a look at that. It's a cut carve shot. Just on that volley, he picked it up. That was mightily close.
Probably just half a foot short. Ishan Kishan trying to go over the offside. but the ball rushing onto him a little bit.
He remains on 4 not out. That's on middle and leg, and that's been cleared, but not far enough. It's caught. It's a wicket caught at the square leg boundary. Kishan has gone for 4, brought into the team, and he perishes with just that one boundary, and it's 11 for 1 in the 3rd over. They needed to get going. They needed to find the boundary, just didn't get enough on it on the onside.
Yeah, and it looked such a good shot when we first saw it. It would look like it was going all the way for 6, but New Zealand have done their homework on Ishan Kishan. They know that Ishan Kishan, normally when he flicks to the leg side, it normally goes sort of 10 yards, 15 yards behind square. And the man was just standing there waiting for it. We've seen in the IPL over the past where he scored so many runs behind that square leg umpire in the air, but New Zealand doing their homework, which they're always good at. New Zealand are always good at doing their homework. Always.
Daryl Mitchell with the catch. He was fairly standard for him, but we'll go back to it. No catch is easy when you're under pressure. This is a massive game, and he had to get himself in the right position, though I don't think he had to move very far. No. Just had to make sure that during those seconds of thinking about it, he thought of nothing else other than, I'm taking this, and he did.
It's things like that that make New Zealand so competitive in some of these tournaments, because they do really do their homework on oppositions, probably more so than any other team. And you always see it when they're playing, and if you watch and take note, they seem to have fielders in the right places. They bring the right bowlers on for set, and they give themselves the best chance to win. That's
really fascinating what you're saying here, because you'd think every team, that would be something that every team could equal a match, all that preparation. But you're saying there's just a little bit, just maybe 0.5%, 1% more for New Zealand.
Yeah, but they just do it really well. They really, they really do their homework on every player they're coming up against, and they normally stick. They're quite relentless on their plans normally, which is why that makes them so good. In tournaments like this, they're quite disciplined with their approach. Yeah, well, they're a force. They are a force. Bolt, particularly so, in and bowls, and this is in the air. Could be 2 in 2. Oh, he's dropped it. Oh, Milner's put it down. How on earth has that happened? He had it. It was in his hands, and almost as if in his hands, then he decided to put it down on the ground. That was an extraordinary missed opportunity and drop there, Ravi. I mean, that was a real puzzle. We were just talking about there's no such thing as... They've gone through for 1. 3 overs, 12 for 1. Carry on. We were just saying there's no such thing as an easy catch, and that just shows exactly that. It was high, hooked down towards fine leg. Does he get into position? Well, he gets straight through the hands. He obviously tries to take it low. I mean, he could have come in and taken it comfortably around about waist height, but he stayed where he was, and that was another. That was another response to the bat. That was another indication of New Zealand doing their homework again. First ball to Rohit Sharma. Everybody knows, and especially New Zealand, they know Rohit Sharma, when he plays a hook shot, he plays it up. He doesn't hit it down, and so they've bounced him first ball. Sort of surprise ball, and he's just hooked it straight up, and that, it was a well-worked plan. It was a perfect plan. The problem is the catch hasn't been taken, and India would be thinking, wow, we're fortunate. And some. Oh dear. Now, when I saw it first time, I actually thought he'd got it in his hands, but it went straight through his hands. Very quickly retrieved the ball, and then down on he was already on the ground. Santner, some spin, and Sharma, having had a life, faces his second delivery, this time punched up towards mid-on for no run. Well, this is a real challenge, though, for India at the top order here. They've been made to work really hard for their runs whilst giving that life there. And Milne can't, well, he's got to put that to his back of his mind. He'll be feeling terrible because he's just coming to the side as well. Yeah. Sharma facing, worked away behind square on the onside. Easy single, he'll move to 2, and India will take their score up to 13 for 1 now. I don't think there's a worse feeling in cricket than dropping a catch, because what makes it worse for Milne is he's just coming to the side. He wants to come in, win a game of cricket for his team, and he'll be feeling right now that he's let his team down, but he's got to make sure it doesn't affect him when he comes on to bowl. Right, dropped without scoring by Milne off Bolt.
And if nobody try and tell me that they're not thinking about it at the moment, the facial expressions say it all. And I don't know why I'm laughing. Rahul's on 7, 13 for 1, and he will find a run behind square on the onside. Sometimes laughter is easier than anything, because you try and put yourself in the position of Milne there, and we said earlier, you know, that the fielder actually did have to move a little, did Mitchell, for that catch actually to his left hand side. We didn't perhaps get a full extent of that just seeing on the replay. But Rohit on 2, playing back but straight to the fielder, who is Martin Guptill, who is fit to play. He took a bit of a blow on his foot, but I think we heard from Gary Stead yesterday, said the last couple of days he's been in the nets, he's been okay. He said his toe was a funny colour for a little while, I think. Rohit on 2, diving to his left hand side. Santner can't grab that ball. Remains 14 for 1, so Santner's doing okay here. Just a couple of runs so far from this over, and as we all know, with spin, if you get through the over quickly and barely notice it's happened, that in itself is a massive tick in this sort of cricket. Sharma's played 105 innings of T20 international cricket, so much experience. Santner bowling to him now, comes around the wicket, helped on its way, but for no run again. Well, like that from Santner, like that. This is no easy cricket for India. And 14 for 1 after 4 overs, 2 remaining in the power play.
Yeah, good captaincy from Williamson there, bring the spinner straight in after they're taking the wicket. They know that India are quite strong players of spin, so the last thing they want to do is expose a spinner later on in the power play. So good from Williamson, get the spinner in while they've got a chance, and now they'll probably look at someone like Adam Milne to come on and do his stuff.
I've never known a stadium announcer get quite as much publicity as the one we find in Dubai. He's doing a great job for them out there. It may not necessarily transfer to us as being wonderful here, but he's although apparently he was trying to get the Australian supporters all cheery and jeered up yesterday, and apparently that didn't work. Don't know why. Milne, now he's brought Milne on here to bowl. Now this is his chance for redemption.
But India have been a bit slow here. I think they've been shy to play any shots. They haven't really tried to stamp their authority on the game. That I think they've been a little bit too watchful. You know, you can be a little bit too watchful in T20 cricket. You want to really throw the first punch when you're out there batting, and they just haven't done that. They've allowed New Zealand to settle, and it just looks like it's going to be tough work for India unless they get a big over here in the power play. They're going to struggle by the looks of it. And it's a nice pitch. It's a very nice pitch.
I wonder if that penny's dropped with them about the pitch. I just wonder if they're playing to the surface they might have imagined rather than.
I think they need to get on with it.
Yeah. Rahul on 8 from 10 deliveries, and Milne about to bowl. He's dropped a chance on the previous but 1 over, and here concedes run straight away. Cut square on the offside by Rahul, and he will move his score now on to 12 from 11, and India up to 18 for 1 in the 5th over. It's not immediate redemption from the bowler Milne.
You'll be feeling even worse now, having dropped a catch and then getting your first ball hit away through the offside for 4. It was a fantastic shot. It wasn't a great ball. There was enough width offered to KL Rahul for him to play a conventional square drive, so it was a fantastic shot.
It was a bit of a surprise when he was left out of the original squad, but now gets his chance with the injury to Lockie Ferguson. This one is driven. They'll have to scamper through very quickly to mid-off, and they make the ground. All is okay. 1 more for India. 19 for 1 now.
Well, the 5th over is normally a very tough over to bowl. You know, a lot of batsmen are usually settled by the 5th over, and they really try to attack the back end of the power play. So, you know, he's been given the tough over, which won't be easy to bowl, but India have got to make the most of it. They've got to get going. I don't think this is enough runs off the power play on this particular pitch. It has bounce, it has pace. It just does look like a very, very good pitch, and it's only going to get better.
Milne bowls again around about middle and off. Better delivery. Sort of comes in at Rohit Sharma there. Of course, it was Rohit Sharma who sent that ball down to Milne just inside the boundary, and he was dropped.
Yeah, you don't want to give Rohit Sharma too many lives, because you know with him is when he gets set, he normally goes on and gets big scores. You know, he doesn't get those 20s and 30s. He normally goes on and gets big 70s, 80s, which can win you a game single-handedly.
I wonder if those sort of thoughts are going through Milne's mind at the moment. Well, here's your chance. You've got the ball in hand. You can do something about it. You're bowling to him now. A little bit of width. Does he get anything on that? No. Went chasing it, though. Ooh. Through to the keeper. The keeper being Devon Conway. Tim Seifert left out of this team. Adam Milne brought in instead, but it does mean that they need to find a new man for the gloves, and they've given that job to Devon Conway.
Cross-seamer there from Milne. Probably trying to control the ball a little bit more.
So, Rohit. Sharma on 2 not out from 8 deliveries. Should have been dropped before scoring. And Milne bowls to him now. It's in the air, up and over the top of the man at backward point. 4 runs.
Yeah.
A grasping opportunity, but nothing more. The man at backward point. So a second boundary in this over, and India to 23 for 1 with 1 ball remaining of this 5th over.
Yeah, and that's what India need more of. More boundaries in the power play. Get going. Rohit Sharma needs to get going as well. He's been given the delivery to do it. He's bowled width here. It's a strange line that Adam Milne has gone for in this over. He's bowled everything, sort of a foot outside off stump, maybe more. He's got away with a couple of deliveries, but not on that occasion.
Last ball of the 5th over, 23 for 1. In the air on the leg side, should have the legs, and does, for the first 6 of the evening. Through square leg, and that's given India plenty to cheer, and it's not been a good night so far for Adam Milne. 29 for 1 after 5 overs. He dropped a catch earlier. Ravi's just been talking about the difficulty of bowling that 5th over. Well, as difficult as it is, he's going to need somebody to run up to him and just tap him on the shoulder and say, come on, it's going to get a little bit better from here on. But 15 runs coming from that over. Ravi Bopara will tell us a little bit more about this Indian innings, which is, he says he's a little bit concerned, although maybe thinking a little bit differently now following that 6.
It was an over they needed. They needed a big over somewhere because they've had 4 quiet overs, so they needed 15, 20 off that over, and they've got their 15. It was a fantastic shot from Rohit Sharma, just a pick-up shot from sort of
Ishan will be coming in. Just carry on. Ishan will replace me. Carry on, Ravi.
It's a pick-up shot from waist height. A massive 6 over square leg, just showing how good this wicket is. So much pace in the wicket. It's really coming onto the middle of the bat, because you just can't play shots like that if the wicket is slow and sluggish and keeping low. You can't sort of get underneath your ball. There's not enough pace to pick it up over square leg for 6, but that just showing that we've got a great wicket in hand here, and it's going to be a great contest.
A lot of pressure released there as Southee is in. Inside edge from Rahul, looking to swing across the line down to the fine leg boundary. He'll pick up 4, and that last over has just released things for India, who had struggled in those first 4 overs. And I know it's in hindsight, but giving Adam Milne that 5th over, I know he's had a good summer or so in the 100 with T20 cricket, but you've got 2 of the best swing bowlers in the world in Southee and Bolt. Why not give them 1 more over with Rohit Sharma just at the crease?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, the ball was swinging. It was a great opportunity for these swing bowlers to do their work. The Indian batsmen didn't look comfortable against the swing bowlers, but they've managed to release the pressure. It's looking a little bit better for them, the scoreboard. And Indian supporters, those who are very knowledgeable in the cricket, would have been worried after those first 4 overs, thinking, "Wow, this is quite a nice pitch, and we've got nowhere. We're only going at 3 and over."
Rahul working the ball to mid-wicket, no run. So 33 for 1 India. New Zealand, having won the toss and elected to bowl first. You always do in Dubai, especially in an evening game. We've seen across this tournament it becomes a lot harder for the fielding side in that second innings. India bolstering their batting lineup, removing Bhuvneshwar, Kumar. In comes Shardul Thakur. He's been good in the last couple of years in T20 cricket. Wicket taker, but also provides you runs with the bat. And then Ishan Kishan coming in as Southee bowls to Rahul, who drives back to the bowler, parries it to mid-off as they come through for 1. 34 for 1 in the 6th over, India. Rahul picks up another. And Ishan Kishan coming in at the top of the order in place of Suryakumar Yadav, who had some back spasms ahead of the game, so he was sent home. Kishan coming in for his first World Cup match. As taking a look at the field at the moment, there's a man down at 3rd. quite wide for Rohit Sharma. That short boundary to the leg side, 64 metres that hit. The Saudi is in, 3 balls left, working it out there to deep backward square. Rohit Sharma off the front foot. Not a lot of swing on offer, but he's bowling quite tight to the off stump. And just reining things in again, New Zealand. 1 to Rohit, who moves to 13, 35 for 1.
Rohit's just looking nice and settled now.
He is.
After those first few deliveries and being dropped off his first ball. He's got a couple of boundaries away now. He just looks comfortable, looks well balanced at the crease. Now sometimes it takes that, if you get dropped or you and then you hit a couple of boundaries, you almost just settle down and feel a lot better about yourself and start calm. You have that calm aura.
Pulled away by KL Rahul, out to that short boundary and taken. Deep backward square, Daryl Mitchell in the action again. And KL Rahul this time has to hang his head. It was full and straight to Pakistan. That was their downfall last week. This time it's falling for the short ball. 35 for 2 India in the 6th over.
Yeah, KL Rahul just looking for the pickup shot, the pull pickup, which Rohit played the over before, but just not carrying far enough, just getting a little bit high on the bat, and it carrying all the way to deep backward square for a nice, I don't want to say easy catch, but one of the most simplest catches that he would take. India again, this keeps going. This is swinging this game, It was New Zealand, it was all New Zealand in the first 4 overs, and then India hit back with a massive over of 15 in the 5th over, but New Zealand just fighting back again by taking an important wicket of KL Rahul, which gets Kohli at the crease.
Yeah, he came to the middle in strife last week against Pakistan, picked up 50. He averages 80 in T20 World Cups. India's captain trying to lead his side to a competitive total. You're thinking, with the conditions as they are, how it gets easier in the second innings. They'd be wanting to get 160 at least, but for the moment it's just about navigating their way through the next few overs. 2 of India's most experienced campaigners, the bearded Kohli, back and across and pushing at the ball back down the pitch to mid-on. No run. So the power play is done. 6 overs bowled, 35 for 2. Who would you rather be?
Well, I'd rather be New Zealand right now. I think New Zealand have started really well. Apart from that 1 over that went for 15, they've been dominating this game so far. I think India are about 15 runs shy, maybe 20 runs shy where they should be for the loss of 2 wickets on this track. We get to see, we see 1 over a spin, which was with the new ball, but once this ball gets a little bit older, we're yet to see how much turn this wicket takes. If it starts taking turn, then India have a good chance if they can set sort of around 160, but if there's not much turn through here, I think 160 is just not going to be enough.
Mitch Santner back on, went for 2 from his first over. Bowling in the power play. He now has the protection of 5 fielders outside the inner circle. Having a quick look over to the leg side boundary. Deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep cover. Santner, the left-arm spinner, tall left-arm spinner, is in. Round the wicket to Sharma, who's looking to cart misfield at point as Ishodi cleans up and they come through for 1. 36 for 2, India.
Yeah, not ideal. Don't want to misfield at this stage. But India under pressure, keep building that pressure and make them play false shots.
Looking at the reaction of KL, he could not believe it. It was the shorter side of the ground. It was there to be hit as Kohli faces his second delivery, driving to extra cover. Santner rushing to the top of his mark as he collects the ball from extra cover. Blue towel on the back of his trousers as the left arm spinner bowls to Kohli's pushing to the offside, slips as he tries to get back in. Throw is sent in, takes the bails, but I think he's okay. He's smiling, but heart in mouth stuff for the whole of India.
Well, that was close. And maybe the dew is just starting to come down already because he's just slipped there.
I thought there was a little bit of grip there for
There was a little
Santner
bit of grip there.
Oh, as well. So here he comes again, the left arm spin around the wicket. Kohli looking to drive outside the off stump, doesn't catch it, gets the inner part of the bat, and Southie steaming in to collect the ball. They're on here, New Zealand. 3-dot balls. Kohli on naught. Santner bowls, Kohli drives. Diving to his left, Santner, not able to get it away again.
Kohli under pressure here. He hasn't got off the mark. I was going to say in his first couple of deliveries he's looking good. Both balls were at the middle of his bat, but now he's under pressure.
Taps his bat down, stern look on his face, still in the crease. Standing on leg stump, forward press, back into his crease and punches out to long on. He's off the mark. India's captain is away. 37 for 2, picked up 50 in that last game against Pakistan. Trying to steer his side to a total that they could defend. Was able to get them to a position where they felt it was defendable, but in the end, Pakistan outstanding. Wicketless. When it came to the chase, it was a mauling. And a week later, they've had a lot of time to think about it as Abhishek Jhunjhunwala comes in. 37 for 2 after 7. How are you feeling?
Maybe a bit too much time to think, Isha, the way things are at the moment. Yeah, it's not a very good start. It's not a very good looking scoreboard for India. 37 for 2 after 7. I think they need a partnership. They need it desperately. And also at the same time, they just don't need a partnership. They need a partnership which can happen in a very, very quick time. Because they're quite a long way behind the game at the moment. After 7 overs, you would expect somewhere around 55-60. They're on 37.
Here comes Ish Sodhi for his first over, bowling to the India captain, who hits him up and over mid-wicket, out to the deep mid-wicket boundary. Martin Guptill at long on, sprinting to his left to collect the ball as they push back for 2. So sign of intent already against Ish Sodhi. That's how they're going to play him. 39 for 2 in the 8th over.
Yeah, you've got to target a bowler. You've got to target Ish Sodhi here, and that's a very clear message from Virat Kohli. He wanted to go for that big shot. The very first delivery put the pressure back on him. Yeah, they need to take a bit more risk here, India. I know they've lost 2 wickets, but they can't afford not to take risk.
The leg spinner bowls again on the stumps to Kohli, back in his crease and working out to deep backward square for 1. As they come through, Kohli to 4, 40 for 2 in the 8th over. Sodhi, figures of 2 for 28 in the first match against Pakistan. If he strays or he errs, it's generally short. So Rohit Sharma will be quick to pounce if he does that.
Yeah, they've got to be a bit careful with his googly. He's got a very good googly. They've got to watch his wrist.
Past the stumps. Sweeps does Rohit Sharma, but only finds short fine leg. No run.
Yeah, pressure's building. Every ball there's pressure building on Virat Kohli. Rohit Sharma, they understand the urgency of scoring runs quickly. At the same time, they can't lose another wicket here. So they've got to keep both those aspects going at the same time, which is a very, very difficult combination in T20.
I'm getting a waft of food as Ish Sodhi bowls into the pitch. Rohit Sharma quick onto the short one and out! Would you believe it? Martin Guptill coming forwards. Rohit Sharma does not connect. It's a bad ball, and you have to say, seen it quite a few times in international cricket with Ish Sodhi. He gets a wicket with a bad ball as Rohit Sharma is out for 14. India 40 for 3 in the 8th over.
Yeah, India crumbling again. Rohit Sharma not picking the short ball, not picking his area. He did pick the short ball, just not picking the area. I think the ball just skid through a little bit quicker. The ball came onto the bat a lot quicker than Rohit expected. He wanted to go cow corner, went straight to the long on fielder, and an easy catch. Ish Sodhi static, picking up another wicket. Rohit Sharma back in the hut. India lost their 3rd wicket and in all sorts of trouble. They need a special innings here from some of their players. Maybe Rishabh Pant, tonight is the night for him. He needs to play a special knock here, and Virat Kohli needs to stay along with him till the very end if India wants to get to a decent total here.
Similar reactions for both Rahul and Rohit Sharma, screaming into the air because 2 balls that they should have put away to the boundary, and unfortunately for them, finding the hands of the New Zealand fielders, who are never ever going to drop them, apart from Adam Milne, who dropped one down at fine leg. But in general, they are very, very good fieldsmen. So Rishabh Pant in the 8th over, batting at 5. India 40 for 3 in the 8th over. New Zealand, what a start. And they've become a bit of a bogey side for them, Abhishek, losing 2 encounters against them previously in T20 World Cups. 2019, you think about the the one-day semi-final,
Yeah.
which went across 2 days. I don't know if you remember that. It went across 2 days, and it was MS Dhoni and Ravi Jadeja at the end. Martin Guptill, who had a tough tournament with a throw into the keeper, dead eye straight into the keeper's hands. Couldn't have been a more perfect throw. And that was the end of MS Dhoni's 50-over career.
Yeah, I remember that.
Rishabh Pant, the left-hander on strike to Sodhi, back in his crease and working the ball to mid-wicket. Sodhi is quick to the ball to his left, though, as Pant is sent back, trying to get off the mark.
Yeah, at the moment, the whole of India would be very, very tense, I can tell you that. With Rishabh Pant being there in India and being in a position where they are, where they can completely go out of the tournament, and Rishabh Pant is not a very good combination for people watching the game.
Pant, forward press and working the ball past Sodhi to his left. Out too long on. Pant off the mark. 41 for 3 after 8 overs. Kevin Howes was talking about Kane Williamson's beard. Ish Sodhi seems to have grown his a little bit more. I think there's more on his beard than on the top of his head.
Yeah, it's a new fashion having those beard. But again, going back to the match, Isha, I think India is in a situation here where they can't play fearless cricket, because if they lose another wicket, Hardik Pandya, who hasn't played a lot of matches, Ravindra Jadeja, if he's exposed too early into the innings, you don't know what's he going to do. So it's very important that they build a partnership. But because they're so far behind the game already, India, and 41 for 3 after 8, I don't know if they can afford to just play out a few overs here.
Both of these players like facing pace. Here comes Adam Milne, who was clocking up to 150 kilometres an hour in the 100 this summer. The leading wicket taker in that tournament. Been out of the New Zealand setup for a little bit, but comes in with Lockie Ferguson being injured. And Kane Williamson wanting to bolster their pace attack. So he's got 2 men square of the wicket at deep backward square and deep cover, third and a fine on the boundary. Milne round the wicket to Rishabh Pant, guiding the ball to point, no run.
Again, bowling that hard length, bowling back of the length, not giving anything to the batter, and he's new to the crease, so he's not going to take too much risk here, Rishabh Pant. So it's a good opportunity, a very good captaincy, I would say, from Kane Williamson to bring back Adam Milne, who's gone for 15 of his first over. Just try and get an over or 2 out of him if you can, without going for too many runs. Because if you bought him a bit late, where the batters are set, they would take a bit more chances against him.
Pant on the back foot, guiding it to extra, no run. Good length and line from Milne, slightly tighter on that occasion.
Again, lovely areas. Just bowling back of the length and not giving anything full. They know that if they bowl anything full in the slot, Rishabh Pant is going to go for those big shots. He's just going to go with those strong wrist and strong hands of his. He's got a very, very good reach on the front foot. Often we have seen him hit those sixes with just one hand. He doesn't really use his 2 hands.
Here comes Milne steaming in past the umpire. Back of a length. Pant guides it down to third, beating a diving point to his right. Ish Sodhi out there picks it up and throws it in one motion. So Pant to 2, 42 for 3. We're into the 9th over. Second game that we're bringing you today of Group 2. Afghanistan winning the first match. A wonderful tribute to Asghar Afghan on his retirement from Afghanistan cricket after the game. 42 for 3. Score predictor says 149. I said a waft of food, Abhishek. Ravi Bopara has cleaned up his meal.
That went very, very quickly.
Space of 5 minutes. There's Milne in quickly, bouncer bowled. Kohli ducks underneath it, has a quick look at the umpire and a chuckle to himself. He thinks it should have been a wide. Did it go over his helmet? If he was standing upright in his crease, was it a wide?
You have to see the side angle, but he was not happy with the umpire, which he often is not, Virat Kohli. He's a bit animated when he's there out in the middle, but at the moment I feel, Isha, that India is so behind that even if they get 10 and over from here, they get to that 155, 160 mark, which I don't think is still going to be enough on a pitch where dew is going to play a bit of a factor.
Kohli backing across inside edge onto his thigh pad, trickles out to point, no run. 90 miles an hour, Adam Milne.
Yeah, he's wrecking up the pace here after the first over where Rohit Sharma got hold of him a little bit. But it's good comeback. Very good time for him to bowl. Very good captaincy. Very good leadership here from Kane Williamson, understanding when he needs to bowl which bowler and putting that pressure right back even more on these two players. Virat Kohli, 4 of 10.
Kane Williamson with a black cap above his head. Almost like a flat cap when you see in baseball, as Kohli is fending at the ball outside the off stump, guiding it down to third. Nicely played. It's a shot he plays so very well in limited overs cricket. Good length delivery. He watches it so like a hawk, as watches it onto the bat, and then the wrist flick down to that boundary. Comes through for 143 for 3 then. After 9 overs, just the 2 runs from it, Abhishek. And pressure all on India here, but can they get themselves up to a total that they'll be having to look at, what, 140, 150 now at the moment?
I think 150 they have done really well here. If they get to 150, that means 10 and over from here. And I'm not saying it's going to be impossible, but it's going to be very, very difficult. They need to take some chances here, now.
Santner on to Kohli, the left-arm spinner, who pushes forwards to extra, but sent back by Rishabh Pant. Williamson in like a tiger to the ball.
It's been exceptional bowling as well. Yes, India got under a bit of pressure after losing wickets early. But they lost a couple of wickets back-to-back with Rohit and Rahul.
Santner bowls, Kohli advances, hits it into the ground to Kane Williamson. Frustration here for the Indian captain. He wants to get Rishabh Pant on strike so he can take down Santner.
Yeah. It's a combination of frustration and desperation.
Kohli on the back foot, punching this time out to deep cover. Forceful stroke. Sound off the bat was good. So it picks up 1. As we're taking a look at some magic moments from the T20 World Cup back to 2007. Yuvraj Singh, 6 sixes. Sorry, Stuart Broad, but that was a tremendous effort, wasn't it, Abhishek?
It was. Oh, it was just terrific from UV. I mean, yeah.
But that set them on their way to winning the World Cup, as Pant is on the back foot, working it to mid-wicket. Santner comes round as they sprint through for 1. Wasn't there to be hit for a big boundary, but he takes the 1 instead. 45 for 3, India. Do you remember the celebrations of the 2007 World Cup?
I do remember.
And what it did for Indian cricket as well.
Yeah, it was a massive moment for Indian cricket. I didn't get into the squad, but I was in the preliminary squad for India in that tournament.
As Kohli slashes outside the off stump. In fact, I think he's got the power to go all the way. No. Picked up by Phillips on the boundary as they come back for 2. 47 for 3, India in the 10th over. 1 more ball left. Kohli on 8. Santner comes through. Bowls full. Kohli whips the ball out to wide, long on. And it's a single taken at the end of the over. 5 from it. India 48 for 3 after 10. Kohli 9. Rishabh Pant 3. It's down to these 2 again, Abhishek. Yes. And then it will be Kevin Howes.
Yeah, similar sort of a situation where they were against Pakistan again, lagging a long, long way behind. After 10 overs, you'll often expect a team to be close to that 75-80 mark. That gave them a good foundation to get to that 160, 170. But at the moment, if India needs to get anywhere close to 150, they need 10 and over from here. And that can happen. They've got a lot of firepower. They've got the likes of Hardik, Pandya. They've got Jadeja. They still have Kohli and Pant in the middle. But I think it'll take something very, very special from India if they want to get to a respective total and put that pressure back on New Zealand here, Kevin.
How much credit are you giving New Zealand for restricting India to this? Or do you think in some ways India not quite reading the pitch? Maybe where's the balance of who's responsible for this 48 for 3?
It's very hard to say who's responsible, but I can tell you, yeah, definitely Indian batting has been a bit poor in the first 2 matches of this tournament. Yes, there's been some good bowling, but I think the intent has lagged in the first 6 overs from the Indian batters.
Why would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to take. India has always been like that. They've always taken the route of caution in the first 6. They always prefer to score those runs in the last 6 overs rather than the first 6 overs, but I think now they need to revisit and reassess those plans. It has worked in the past for India, but I don't think it's working anymore, where they can just go very, very slow, get to that 40 in the first 6, and then try and score 70 or 80 in the last 5 overs, which has happened previously, but now I think they need to take England route. Try and go big and try and go really, really hard in the first 6 overs.
And it shows the bravery of those teams that do adopt that. Whilst we can sit back last night, yesterday afternoon, applaud Josh Buttler, never mind applaud him, I mean just try and find words, but bravery, I mean it still requires such bravery.
It takes a lot of bravery, and also I think to some extent you need players with that ability as well, because Indian batters have not batted like that previously. I think they need to, again, as I said, they need to reassess their plan, and they need to bring that element to their game, because which is not easy to just go out there and hit it from the first ball. So I think they need to change a bit of their technique, maybe the way they play their strokes. There needs to be some sort of adjustment made to their game to be able to bat like the way Josh Buttler and Jason Roy does in the first 6 overs.
And the puzzle for me, therefore, is this. You look at Josh Buttler and look at some of the other, good performers, not just England, but others from around the world, and a lot of credit for that would actually be placed with the IPL. Kohli's on 9 here, and he's got aerial top edge. I don't think he's got enough on this. If there's a man down there to take the catch, there is, and he takes it just inside. A little bit of extra showing off from Trent Boult as well, and it's a wicket for Sodhi in his second over, and it's the skipper Kohli who's gone for 9. Massive wicket after the break, start of the 11th over. 48 for 4 India, in all sorts of bother and trouble.
They are in all sorts of trouble. This is a bit of a doom for India here. Virat Kohli, they needed him at least till the 17th or the 18th over to stay there and calm the ship down, but at the moment Virat Kohli is gone, trying to go for that big shot, trying to go for that slog over the cow corner region and getting a top edge, and a lovely catch from Trent Boult in the boundary. Never easy. These are pressure catches under lights, and you can see the reaction from the whole crowd, everyone trying to hide under there. Just hide their face under their hands or their t-shirts, or all sorts of things happening. India under all sorts of trouble in Dubai. 48 for 4 after 10.1.
He kicks the rope or the sponge around the rope, and he's got, I'll tell you what, get out of that dressing room, everybody. Clear the room. Yeah. He's marching in there.
Yeah, it's not going to be a very happy dressing room, I can promise you that. When India's 48 for 4 after 10 overs in one of the most crucial games for India in this competition, because if they lose today, I think they'll be out. It's very unlikely that they're going to qualify. New Zealand, are they going to drop another game? It's going to be very, very difficult. Afghanistan in the mix. If Afghanistan wins against New Zealand, they put India under a lot of pressure as well. So I think they need to find a way to get back to this game, which looks very difficult, but it could be well over for India in the T20 World Cup.
Hardik Pandya makes his way out to the middle. I want to come back to that we were talking about a little bit before, about the bravery and why India perhaps have struggled to show that application right at the top. Of Pandya here facing a ball from Sodhi, worked away, beats the man at mid-wicket. Along the ground it's safe enough, and it's 1, and it's India to 49 for 4 here. So the IPL, I mean, if the other players can pick up those skills, pick up that confidence, not just the IPL, of course, but it's a massive part of it. Under intense scrutiny, massive crowds, some world-class, it's the best versus the best. Why is it that some of those individuals have picked that part up in their game, the batters, yet seemingly from what you're saying, as an overview, the Indian players and the Indian batters haven't picked up that same maybe approach? Come back to you on that. Pant is on 3, 49 for 4, and it's the 11th over. Ooh, squeeze through for no run, square on the onside.
Yeah, I think it's a franchise cricket is very different. The way we have seen the likes of Rishabh Pant and Ishan Kishan bat in the IPL is very different what they do out there in for India. Maybe that's something because the way the Virat Kohli likes him to bat, the way his approach is to take the approach of cautious rather than going and trying to lose wickets in the first 6 overs.
Wow, Pant is on 3. Sodhi bowls, tries to create enough space and does for a single square on the offside for 1. Such is the power, don't want to use the word control, power that the skipper has, but it's surprising he's not seeing what needs to be done though.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it for certain that's
No,
the
of
case,
course,
but
of
I'm
course.
saying, I'm assuming maybe that's the culture he wants to bring in, where they don't want to go too hard in the first 6 overs and they prefer going hard in the last 6. But obviously that has worked in the past, as I said.
Sodhi to Pandya, just on the off stump, off the outside edge, and a stop from Southey, but they'll still go through for 1. Past the 50 mark now, we're up to 51 for 4, 1 ball left to the 11th. We're exploring why there should be such a difference. That's what we're doing. And
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is a puzzle.
It is a puzzle, because you've seen some of the players who are part of the IPL, who are opening in the domestic scene as well. They like to play very fearless cricket. They go out there and play with no fear.
Next ball bowled and played away on the onside for a single. Is it something as simple as end of the 11th over, by the way, 52 for 4? And I don't want to drone on about this for much longer, but is it expectancy of playing for India as opposed to playing for your franchise? I mean, there is something about franchise cricket that I do follow quite closely, in terms of the pain of defeat sometimes in franchise cricket, whether that's quite the same as the pain of defeat in international cricket.
And also, I would say that it's not just the pain of that. When they're playing franchise cricket, I like of Ishan, Kishan, I like of Rishabh, Pant, they know their spot is guaranteed. Even if they don't get any runs, they would still be playing for that respective franchise. But when they're playing for India, there's so many people are behind them to take that spot. That puts a lot of pressure as well. So when you're in that kind of a pressure, and where you're also playing for your spot, you need to curtail a lot of shots. You're not playing as freely as you're playing for a franchise cricket. So I think that plays a massive part as well when you're out there in the middle for India.
Look, anything can happen again tonight. Anything can happen over the next few days of this competition. But right now, India have got problems in this game. At 52 for 4 after 11 overs, Santner bowls his 4th over. He's conceded now 10 runs, but this is still terrific stuff from Mitchell Santner. One more picked up at the start of this over. We're into the 12th over. That shot that was played by Kohli, though, just at the break. I mean, John Blaine, one of our co-commentators, summarisers, he's always banging that drum of saying, wickets just before a drinks break or immediately just after. They do fall like that a bit often. His eyes lit up. He wanted to have it go straight away, didn't he?
Yeah. And I think they needed some boundaries as well. It's not just he wanted to go straight after the break. India needed some boundaries.
Santner to Pandya, who's on 2. And just guides that away. There is a big gap out there. The man will come running round to his right-hand side now with the right-arm throw. And I think that's Daryl Mitchell with the throw there. So that's 55 for 4 now. Yeah, we've got a long way to go in this game. But India put an awful lot of pressure back on themselves, it seems, here by... Well, New Zealand, credit New Zealand bowlers. They've done well. There's been one horrendous drop. They've taken otherwise their catches well. The fielding has been generally very good. But India... perhaps just a little bit too watchful, a little bit too tentative. Ravi mentioned it right at the top. Another dot ball there. Pandya just pushing the ball back to Santner midway through this 12th over.
Yeah, the bowling has been very, very good. They've been right on the money. They've executed their plans pretty well. But there's been some poor batting as well at the same time.
Look at concentration from Santner as he comes into bowl. That's on the leg stump, turned away by Pandya for a single. New Zealand won't be worried about that, because right now we're in this... stories you can often find at 56 for 4 of, at the moment, every time that India go for the big shot, your heart is in your mouth. It's that sort of game, isn't it?
It is. I mean, at the same time, you want them to go for those big shots. You understand that they need boundaries here. And Rishabh Pant, I think he's not playing his natural game at the moment. Obviously, when you lose 4 wickets, you can't just go out there and play fearless cricket and just play your shots. But at some point, they will have to.
Pant on 6. Goes back, plays the ball on the onside. So steady as she goes, but steady as she goes is not good enough. 57 for 4, 1 ball remaining of the 12th. I mean, that this pitch, it seems as if both of you summarise alongside us, saying, this pitch is looking all right, and of course it becomes maybe a little bit easier as well as the night goes on. So the ball will come on a little bit more. So, gosh, I mean, it's a straightforward decision for New Zealand to bowl first on winning the toss. We know that anyway, but India not helping themselves here at the moment. Another single, square on the offside from Pandya, move to 6, and Santner now has bowled his 4 overs for 15 runs against India. Hasn't taken a wicket, doesn't matter. Other wickets have been taken. That's terrific control from the New Zealand spinner.
Yeah, what he has done is kept one end so tight that the wicket has been picked up from the other end because of the pressure he has put on the batters from the one side, and hence India is down. 4 wickets down after 12th over, and the score is not looking very good at the moment. 58. Even if they get 80, 90 from here, they're only going to get close to that 150 mark. And if the dew does come into the second half, I think 150 is not going to be a big issue for New Zealand. But we still have to wait and watch. We can't make a decision unless we watch both teams bat on the surface. There is a bit of turn. The ball is stopping at the moment, but that can change very, very quickly as the day progresses.
Southey's being brought back in at the 13th over. And he's powering in. Strong-looking figure of Southey. In and bowls. Up in the air, a little bit uppish towards mid-on. Ooh, he didn't know too much about that, did Pandya? Well, Southey brought back on here. You're surprised at this not to be left a little bit later, or do you think that time for the kill? Go in on the kill now?
I think they're going for the kill at the moment. If they can pick up another wicket, that's going to bring Ravindra Jadeja. Yes, he can bat, he can score runs, but then India is 5 down for a merry 58. I don't know how much he can do.
Pandya's on 6. Southey right arm bowls him now shorter ball, which he plays really well actually, because he keeps it down and obviously negates any chance there of a wicket and a catch. However, it's the sort of shot that perhaps in red ball cricket, whatever, you'd really applaud. Here, it's still survival, really. It's survival.
Yeah, I think one's not going to harm New Zealand. They'll be more than happy to give 6 and over from here for the rest of the overs remaining to India. They'll be more than happy to do that. But from India's perspective, they need boundaries, and they need quite a lot of them, not just 1 and 2. But I think at some point both these players need to decide that we're going to go. Even if you lose wicket, you lose wicket. There's no point getting 110. It's not going to give anything to the bowlers to come out there and bowl at.
Pant on 7, so to Pandya, but it's Pant facing, and he doesn't get anything on that. Well, he gets enough to get 1, sorry. But he didn't get as much as he wanted. Really not. And gosh, what a struggle this is. The moment for India. I don't know, there was something about it. Abhishek, I don't know if you put this in my mind or not just by looking at you as you walked in the room this morning. There was something about today which made me nervous for India. And it's so far playing out.
It is playing out. And you could sense that India, obviously, going into this game, there must be a bit of nerve, a bit of butterfly in their stomach, because they understand the importance of the game.
Southey bowls and good straight delivery. What we're seeing also, from the flip side of that from New Zealand, is they know their game.
Yeah.
Ravi was talking about, all the research they do, knowing exactly where fielders should be and studying so much the opponents, individual batters, that sort of thing. But we've seen that. The example here has been terrific, really knowing what they do, what their strengths are, playing to them.
We've seen the execution as well. They knew exactly what deliveries to bowl. They knew Rohit, the moment he came in, they bowled the first ball, the bouncer was there, Rohit played it. It was a simple catch which Milne dropped. But otherwise things could have been even worse for India.
And you're on 7, uppish but safe through square leg. Man comes up off the fine leg boundary. Right arm throw from Glenn Phillips. That was a good piece of fielding. Devon Conway called on as the wicketkeeper. Of course, Phillips could be another one. They've got quite a few choices, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got a lot of choices, yeah. The New Zealand
good
team.
fielders.
It's a good side. It's a very, very good T20 side. Yes, they haven't won an ICC event yet, but they always cause a lot of trouble for all the top sides. They're among the top sides in the world anyway. But at the moment, yeah, I think the pitch is not playing very, very well. Looking at the last couple of deliveries from Saudi, whenever he's rolled his wrist or he's rolled his finger over the ball is stopping quite a bit, and that's why we have seen Hardik Pandya play a couple of deliveries which went in the air. So if there is no dew factor, this could be a very interesting game.
Pant on 8, both of these batters on 8, and a slow ball from Saudi worked away through mid-wicket. And Pant will move to 9, and the score up to 62 for 4 after 13 overs completion. That's just 4 runs coming from that Saudi over. So it's 1 for 15 from 3 overs from Saudi. Virtually at every turn you're applauding New Zealand here at the moment, apart from that one horrendous drop, which perhaps wasn't as costly as it could have been. But Pandya on 8, Pant on 9, and 1 or 2 furrowed brows and concerned faces there behind a beautiful wooden-coloured table there. That's just a lovely piece of furniture. But anyway, on to other matters. They are not looking best pleased. A few arms folded there behind that desk and that table.
Yeah, I think it'll be a few more than a couple. I promise you.
Yeah, those are the ones we can see.
It's more than 1 billion people very worried right now.
Well, there is that, yeah. Yeah, they'll be under the desks, never mind behind them. They won't want to look. Pant on 9. Use of the feet here from Pant, up and over the bowler. But there is a fielder out there in the deep. That is Guptill, who pulled off a really good catch a few overs ago. Reliable, of course, in the field is Martin Guptill.
And these are big boundaries in Dubai. One side is really, really big, so it's not that easy just to dance down the track and clear those boundaries. Rishabh Pant, he understands that they got to take a chance here against Ishan. They can't afford to let him bowl 4 overs for hardly any runs, which Santner has done already. He's hardly gone for any, 3 overs 15, and Ishan has just gone for 9 runs of his 2.1 overs, picked up 2 important wickets as well.
Pandya back on strike. He's on 8. Sodhi at his bowling, and this is in the air. It's gone a long way in the air. This should clear. Will it? Oh! Well, it's been somehow, I think that's been pulled back in. Looking for the catch. Well, we've seen some remarkable feats there. This is Nisha, isn't it? Just jumping high, looking for the catch. We're going to have to look at that again, aren't we, on the replay to see exactly what happened.
How did the ball not go in to the boundary? I think it hit the forearm.
Off the forearm. He's pedalling backwards. He's thinking he's going to come down to me. Comes back. Yeah, just off the wrist, actually. He dives to the ground over the top of the rope, and he keeps it in. Well, I mean, we've seen some remarkable efforts and catches. However, the run save there.
Isn't it a drop? I would call it a drop. If he just the ball properly,
days.
he could have taken that catch.
So you're not wrong, okay? So you're not wrong. You are right. However, are you going to run up to him right now and tell him that, or not? Are you as the skipper, you're going to say...
I wouldn't. I'll say great effort stopping 4 runs.
But the score is now 64 for 4. We're in this 14th over. And Sodhi, 2 for 10 from his 3 overs. I mean, that was a terrific effort.
Great effort. But there's always a but.
I'm really not sure about that one. Normally I'd say if that's what you're saying, that's fine. But I think you're being real, and you are. Tongue-in-cheek, harsh there.
That was a great effort.
Good effort.
That was a great effort.
Yeah. So we're 4th delivery of this over. Now, where's this gone? Gosh, he looked to launch that over mid-wicket, and in the end just dribbles along the ground through square leg. And there'll be a run for it, though. 65 for 4. So Pant has moved on to 11 from 16.
Yeah, he wanted to hit that to the Khalifa. Rishabh Pant. It's a fair distance from there, from where the stadium is and where the Burj Khalifa is.
And I reckon there's a chance in his own mind he'd hit it over the top of it as well.
Yeah.
Never mind getting there. So, India with work to do. It's 65 for 4. 2 balls left of this 14th over. Carved into the ground again. Oh, the frustration that must be building here in this pair, Pandya and Pant. 1 ball left of the 14th. 66 for 4. Ooh, some troubled looking faces there for India, who currently sit 5th in the table of 6 in the Super 12. But they've only played 1 and they lost 1. And they're looking to put that right. So too New Zealand, the same for them. Of course, against Pakistan, and somebody tonight is going to come out victorious. Who will it be? Pant is on 11 here for India. Sodhi bowls down the leg side, tickled away. Left arm throw, they make their ground, they go through for 1. And after 14 overs with a leg bye, to finish off that over, it's 67 for 4 after 14. Pandya on 10. Pant on 11. Abhishek, thank you. Stay calm there, my friend. It's all going to be okay at the end of the day. Quite how he's managing that smile, I'm not too sure. Ravi Bapara, what do you make of this? Since you were last on, it's not gone any better for India.
No, they're in big trouble here. It's been quite frustrating and disappointing the way India have started their innings. I mean, there was no urgency to score. You can't just hit your way out of trouble in Dubai. It's just so difficult just to hit your way out of trouble. You got to start well, you got to start aggressively and put runs on the board while the field is up. To play carefully through the first 6 and then expect to really accelerate through the middle. It's just usually not a thing that happens in Dubai. You got to hit from pretty much the first over. They're playing sort of old school cricket a little bit, almost like they're playing in India, where in India you can hit your way out of trouble because they're smaller grounds.
They've done their research here, surely. So why have they not been able to apply themselves in the way that clearly they should?
They look a bit nervous. I think there is a lot of pressure. Obviously, India, biggest cricketing nation there is. They're under pressure to perform. They're one of the favourites in the tournament.
Do you never get used to that? Do you never get to the point where you can cope with that?
I suppose you can. Some of the players who've been playing for a while would have. But there was no urgency from the first over.
Wasn't. Pant on 11 on the leg stump. This is Milne brought back in. He was responsible for a dreadful gaff on a drop earlier. He'll be hoping it doesn't cost anything. He then bowled his first over, which went for 15. Came back well then with his second, just a couple of runs, and it was just in a single picked up off the start of his third.
See, in Dubai, you're almost better off going, look, we're going to go hard from the first over. And if you lose a couple of really early wickets, you're better off doing that than being nowhere off the bat. India looked like they were almost playing the rebuild part of the innings before, the innings had started. You're almost better if you lose a couple of really early wickets, then you can rebuild. You still got time.
Yep. Milne holds and it's into the body, but worked away on the onside by Pandya for a single. And both of you have been very keen to point out, but I think perhaps we just disagree with me, if you like, re-emphasise one of the reasons that India haven't been able to go about things maybe as they would have liked is because New Zealand have been so controlled and disciplined, that New Zealand are doing things New Zealand's way here, the Kiwi way, which is making life hard and difficult.
Yeah, and they're very disciplined in what they do. You know, the plans they make, they usually stick to them, the players stick to them. There's no egos in that dressing room. In New Zealand, they're those type of people, they just get on with the job that's in hand, and they do what's best for the team.
And the captaincy of Kane Williamson, he knows what he's doing out there.
And I think it's people like him that rubs off on everyone else, because he's such a calm and chilled sort of bloke. People tend to listen to him, and he sets the example, which is brilliant.
It is indeed. We're in the 15th over. Milne comes around the wicket, down the leg side. That's not so disciplined. And therefore, umpire Kettleborough with a shake of the head, as if to say, look, I have no choice. You give me no choice, okay?
Well, he's obviously trying to tuck up Rishabh Pant here. He's trying to bowl tight, keep it very tight to his body. There's a big boundary out on the leg side. If he wants to take it on, wants to play it in the air, good luck to him. He's got to carry it a long way. There's a man there behind backward square, ready for the catch if it does come.
Well, of course, Kane Williamson, along with so many of the New Zealand team, actually, they have had a lot of experience of IPL. As we talked about earlier, about maybe, the difference that the Indian players have, franchise cricket over international, but New Zealand... Oh, bowled him! Milner's got rid of Pant. He was trying to again launch the ball, played all over it and around it. And a wicket taken, 70 for 5, and Milne, who's had a mixed old evening this evening, will be delighted to have got a wicket, just as India desperately knew they needed to get on with it. They've lost the wicket of Pant. He's gone for 12, and the pressure builds and builds and builds, and it becomes increasingly difficult to see how India are going to get out of this.
Yeah, absolutely right. The pressure just keeps building. Pant only 12 of 18 deliveries. I mean, he had to find the boundary. India were moving nowhere, only 70 runs on the board. It's looking even more difficult now, moving on. Milne will be feeling great about himself, actually, getting himself into the game now, because he dropped the catch, and his first over was expensive, went for 15. He'll be feeling much better about himself now. You might even see his next 9 deliveries being the best of him.
Good. Because I say there was an awful lot of questions asked about the fact he missed out on the squad initially. Gets his opportunity eventually. He was drafted and they wouldn't, for some reason, allow him to play. New Zealand were a bit miffed about that against Pakistan, because he was agreed that he could be a replacement, Lockie Ferguson, unable to take part any further in the competition. I mean, and then he comes in, he drops the catch, goes for that expensive over. So yeah, he's arrived, hopefully, from his point of view.
He'll feel much better about himself now. He's into the game. He'll feel like he's into the game now.
And India will not. They will not at all.
For India. I mean, if you lose this...
Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja is the man in at 7. Pandya on 11 from 13. It's just picking up singles. That's all they've been able to do. And every time they go for a big strike, it comes undone for them. Jadeja facing. Oh, back in. Could be an LBW appeal. Hits him on the pads. Umpire Kettleborough is not interested at all.
That is close.
It's a close one, and I reckon they must have... Yeah, they've got their both reviews. Worth a go, surely.
And what a ball to get first up. And he's right on the money there, just as we spoke about. You might see
they've gone for it. They've gone for the review. They have to. Come on. 5 down, and you've got 2 still going, and that looked close.
That looked close. It was a fantastic delivery to bowl to the batsman first up. Round the wicket, hard length, coming back into the left-hander. At 146 kilometres an hour, so it's just genuine pace.
Jadeja is the man in trouble here, and it could be 2 and 2 as well. Original decision not out. The voice we hear of the TV umpire is the South African Adrian Holdstock.
It doesn't appear to be any back. Can you go
hit him on high on the back leg there.
Just looks a little bit high. It might be just umpire's call clipping the bails, but it's
Just checking still for ultra edge. I think we're happy that there's a flat line as it goes past the bat itself.
Jadeja is on his toes here, so I think he'll survive this one.
Okay, let's have a look. Pitching outside in line and missing over the top of middle stump. Well done, umpire Kettleborough. That's one for you. But it looked a decent call. And as I say, bearing in mind you got 2, it seemed a decent, reasonable thing for.
I think it's worth a go. I mean, you don't often get the opportunity to take those reviews in T20 cricket. T20 is so short and not many balls miss the bat normally.
No.
So take your opportunity if you do get a sniff.
Indeed. So they've gone through for a leg bye. Jadeja still on 0, but India is 71 for 5. Leaning back, Pandya, and it gets bat on that. And it's fielded there in the deep. They'll come back for 2. They'll have to be smart about it, though, and they are smart enough to come back for that second. Pandya moves to 13, 1 ball left of the 15th at 73 for 5. Group 2, Dubai. One an interesting group with Pakistan going so well at the top. Top 2 go through to the semi-finals. Afghanistan now have got 2 wins out of 3 with a comfortable victory over Namibia earlier today. And now India and New Zealand in a scrap. But at the moment, throwing the heaviest punches, if you like, the smartest punches are New Zealand. Pandya on 13, and we get sent back by Jadeja. There's nothing going, he says. So Mill now, that's good. One, as you say, terrific start, pulled it back so well, including the wicket there in that over. 1 for 22 from 3 overs. India 73 for 5, Pandya on 13. Jadeja yet to get off the mark. A few more thoughts from England World Cup T20 winner in Ravi Bopara, and it'll be Isha Guha.
Well, yeah, this has been brilliant from New Zealand. They've stuck to their plans. They've obviously done their homework on India. A lot of these guys do play IPL cricket. Kane Williamson's played enough IPL cricket. He knows a lot about the Indian batters, so the plans have been brilliant, and they've worked so far, even to Hardik Pandya. They haven't even pitched anything up to Hardik Pandya. They've gone into the wicket, keeping it short. He does struggle with the short ball. We know he's strong when the ball's pitched up and it's in the slot, but as soon as it's up above his waist and chest sort of area, he does struggle. He struggles to score. It doesn't have the same amount of power,
especially with that shoulder, which got him into trouble in the end of that last game against Pakistan. He was trying to swing himself off his feet and that injured him. But it's Sodhi for his last over against Jadeja, bowling a full toss that Jadeja smacks out to long on off the front foot. He's off the mark, 74 for 5 into the 16th over. New Zealand have been outstanding. Plans have worked, and India have just struggled to get it away. Even that last over, you could understand, and you could see the attempt from Rishabh Pant that he wanted to try and take down Adam Milne, who perhaps India felt was the weakest of all the bowlers in the attack, but he came back really strongly with the thought that maybe they could get a 60 off the last 5 as Sodhi bowls wide at the off stump, and Pandya allows that to go through.
But this is a great opportunity for Pandya to, just put a counter punch. It's his best opportunity against a spinner. He's got a high boundary count against spinners, so it's an opportunity for him to throw a punch here.
Sodhi in, bowl short. Hardik Pandya unleashes up and over. Point falls safely in front of deep cover. Not in control of that shot. A bit of extra bounce, and Pandya just picks up the single, so moves to 14.
I thought he might go for the spinner. Most teams have set their game up that they're going to bowl short at him, and he struggled against the seamers, the faster bowlers, so I thought he might take on the spinner.
Jadeja advances, then pushes the ball tentatively to extra cover as Sodhi just drops it short. 76 for 5 in the 16th over here, India in Dubai. It's an evening game. That dew coming in later on, you would expect it to become easier to bat on. Just holding the odd ball at the moment in the pitch as Jadeja drives it, but only finds a wideish mid-wicket. No run. So 2 dot balls for Sodhi, 2 more balls left in the over. He's gone for 2 for 15, with 2 to come in his quota. Jadeja, forward press, pushes at the ball, this time beats a diving Jimmy Neesham to his right at mid-wicket, out to long on for a single. 77 for 5 with 1 to come. I've been looking at the fixtures, Ravi, for both teams. As we're just taking a look at the wickets. Rohit Sharma with a short one from Sodhi, not able to catch it, and out to long on to Kohli as well, looking to attack and caught it long on as well.
Are you going to tell me about how difficult it's going to be for India to go through if they lose this game?
No, well, I'm trying to give people hope for if they are an India fan, as that's played away out to deep mid-wicket for a single. End of Sodhi's spell, 2 for 17 from his 4. India 78 for 5 after 16 with 4 overs to go. Pandya and Jadeja there, Shardul, Thakur to come for India. The reason why they need to try and stay in this game, even if they lose it, is because next they've got Afghanistan. So in 3 days' time they've got Afghanistan. It's an evening game though in Abu Dhabi. 5th of November, Scotland. 8th of November, Namibia. So if they beat Afghanistan, then they're in a position to try and win those games convincingly against Scotland and Namibia. If New Zealand win this one, they've got... who have they got next? They've got Namibia, no, they've got Scotland next on the 3rd, then Namibia on the 5th. And then they've got Afghanistan on the 7th of November, which is a day game in Abu Dhabi, which you would think might be in favour of Afghanistan.
Oof, big shout.
As Bolt bowls, Pandya pulls out to deep backward square for a single. Comes through for 1. 79 for 5 in the 17th, India. Pandya to 16, which could leave everyone on the same points, which is why net run rate could be crucial.
Crucial. And
that's the point I was trying to make.
Well, the worst thing for India is that Afghanistan's net run rate is unbelievable. It's plus 3 point, whatever it is. I mean, they're in a great position to go through to the next round. They've just got to win, pretty much win one more game.
Jadeja pulls, swipes at the ball, but misses it as Bolt's able to get it through to the keeper.
It's still possible to catch Pakistan here, surely. I mean, Pakistan, they've got a couple of games left.
Well, so Afghanistan sit on 4 points at the moment. If they win against New Zealand, they could go to 6. That's assuming that India... The only way India can go through if they lose this game is Jadeja drives out to long on for a single.
Net run rate.
Goes to 3, 80 for 5 in the 17th, is if they beat Afghanistan and then win their last 2. So they all end up on 6 points if Afghanistan beat New Zealand. That is.
Yeah. So it's trouble here for India if they lose this.
It is, but
it's going to be uphill.
They're hoping that
battle.
Results go their way if they want to qualify. But that's why net run rate is absolutely crucial. Pandya punches out to long on off the bowling of Bolt. Left armour bowling over the wicket, angled across. Good length delivery. 81 for 5. India in the 17th over. It's looked a real struggle to get the ball away on this surface, and Pandya, after the wicket of Rishabh Pant, has not looked to get too expansive. So it might be the 17th, 18th. Sorry, the 18th, 19th, 20th they look to go as Jadeja looks to guide the ball down to 3rd, tucked up by Trent Bolt, who's bowled beautifully this evening. They come through for 1, 82 for 5 in the 17th. One more ball left of this over.
Well, you can tell how difficult it is to hit your way out of trouble, because even in the 17th over, knowing that 82 runs at this stage is not enough, they're still not going for it. Because they know how big the boundaries are. The wickets ain't as good as they're used to in India, so you know, I'm confused as to why the plan.
Cut away, up and over point from Pandya, angled across by Bolt. It's a good finish to the over for India. Pandya just guiding the ball, beautiful timing as he picks up a boundary. 21 to him, 86 for 5 after 17.
Sorry, I was saying, so I'm a little bit confused as to why India started so watchful. And knowing that the conditions at Dubai means you've got to get off to an absolute flyer and give your middle order a bit of time to get themselves in on these type of decks and this type of outfield, which is a little bit bigger, so they give themselves a better chance of clearing the ropes when they need to. So it was bad, I think, a bad start for India, just the way they approached the innings.
Wonder if the World Cup semi-final was in the back of their mind. The Pakistan game, losing wickets early, the ball moving around. Tim Southee, Trent Boult, two excellent white ball bowlers with a new ball and getting the balls to shape a little bit as well.
If you look at the other end of the spectrum, England, you know, they don't mess around. They go in and they just go from ball one.
Jadeja on strike to Adam Milne, who's back on, bowling into the pitch, pulled around the corner out to deep backward square for a single. Gets on top of it, plays it down, Jadeja. Moves to 5, 87 for 5. We're into the 18th over here, the second game of the day. Both teams searching for the first points in the T20 World Cup. The favourites ahead of this tournament, India, backs against the wall. Pandya on 21. It's been a struggle to get the ball away. Milne with his final over. So after this, Boult and Milne bowled out. I'll have overs from Southee as Pandya looks to cut the ball away, but not able to get the width, and plays it to extra cover, no run.
Yeah, and then Milne making sure he's still not pitching it up to Pandya, making sure he's going into the deck. If he wants to score, he's got to go cross-batted, which is a clear plan that New Zealand have made. You can see it. It's been played out right in front of our eyes here.
Apologies, Boult has got one more. So it'll be Boult and Southee to finish, and you can imagine that'll be quite a challenge to get after them in the final 2 overs. As Milne steaming in, bowls full to Pandya, who drives the ball out to long on, getting his feet out the way of a ball that was zoning in on the block hole, out to the boundary where it's collected. They'll come through for 1.
Good surprise Yorker there from Milne. He's got that pace, isn't he? 146, so he's got room for error.
How do you like facing him?
Milne, there's been times where I felt, okay, he feels like the easiest bowler on the day because of that extra bit of pace, but then there's other days where you just think, can't hit this bloke.
Jadeja driving out to long on, another full Yorker. Gets it on the full, but he almost chalks it as he plays it out. Jadeja, as he picks up 189 for 5. 2 more balls left of this 18th over. Yeah, anytime they've wanted to inject something into the innings, New Zealand have fought back and kept control.
Kohli looks a little bit worried there, sitting on the boundary edge.
Driven down the ground from Pandya. It's a good strike, but Southee is down there to cut it off. So 1 to Pandya, moves to 23, 90 for 5. 1 more ball left of this Milne over.
I think that's such a good example, that previous ball we just saw with Pandya hitting it. It was actually a really good shot, and I think in most grounds in India that would have been 6. It would have been a flat 6 at the sight screen, but not here in Dubai, and this is why it's so hard to hit your way out of trouble in Dubai.
Milne running in with purpose round the wicket to Jadeja, who manages to get something on it, ramping it around the corner, gets it over the top of the stumps and beats a diving Devon Conway to his right, and will pick up 4 at the end of the over. 94 for 5 after 18. India, Pandya 23, Jadeja 10.
Yeah, good shot there, I think, from Jadeja. Good thinking, because he knows how big the boundaries are and how hard it is to clear it. So he's decided, okay, well, I'm going to use the pace and I'm going to hit it past the fielders that are up, and short fine is obviously up. He's targeted to go over there and collect the boundary. He's got a little bit lucky. It was a fine edge just past the keeper down the leg side, but it was smart batting and he's got his result for it.
Knuckleball from Adam Milne. Devon Conway with the gloves. With the absence of Tim Seifert, Adam Milne coming in for him, so going with the extra bowler, New Zealand, and it's worked for them. So 2 overs to come from New Zealand's most experienced players. Hardik, Pandya, what have you got?
Well, I'm really interested to see what plan they're going to go now, because the pressure's on especially in these last 2 overs. The pressure shifts a little bit back to the bowler. It'll be interesting to see if they stick to their plans with Hardik Pandya. Do they still carry on going hard into the pitch and short, or does the pressure get to them and they go full and he punishes them? I mean, you've got to execute it if you're going to go full. Batters these days, I mean, if you miss the Yorker, they'll put you out the park.
The tattooed Pandya, ready and set, hits it up and over mid-off, out to long off, and he's out. Martin Guptill positioned out there, first ball. Trent Boult angled across him, and more disappointment for the Indian fans. Pandya, their hope, you would say, at the end of the over, at the end of the innings, out for 23.
Yeah, it was a slow ball just drifting across Pandya. It was into length, and Pandya tried to almost stun it over mid-off for 6. Not enough pace in the wicket to play that shot, and it was an easy catch at mid-off, and India in big trouble here now.
India 94 for 6. With 11 balls left in the innings.
I mean, Pandya hasn't looked himself over the last few months. I don't know how much cricket you've been watching, Isha, or how much of the IPL you watched, but he just didn't seem himself. The Hardik Pandya that we know, you know, he's normally quite bubbly. I don't know if it's because he's not bowling as much. I mean, Abhishek will be able to tell us and maybe explain a little bit more as to why Pandya seems different, doesn't he? He doesn't seem the normal Pandya.
Do you want to come in, Abhishek?
Too much money. Yeah.
He's properly sold you there, Abhishek. Well, we'll hear from him at the end of this innings, because he's struggling to watch at the moment. Abhishek Jhunjhunwala. There's Shardul Thakur, who's into the side for today in place of Bhuvneshwar Kumar. He's out to face his first delivery. Trent Boult with a slower one, just rolling his fingers over that. Delivery to Pandya as he's bowling now to Thakur, who's on the back foot, driving to mid-off, no run. They do think about it, but mid-off's too quick to the ball.
Well, India got 10 balls here to make a difference, to give themselves at least a chance to defend a total, so there's no point trying to knock it around. Even Shardul Thakur, I know he's only just come to the crease, but there's only 10 balls remaining. There's no point even trying to get singles. The Mayors will get bowled out for 100. At least trying to go for 125, maybe 130 if they get really lucky.
Just looking at that dismissal again, Hardik Pandya could not believe it. He timed it beautifully, and Martin Guptill sprinting in as Boult bowls short to Thakur, looking to pull the ball away, misses it. Goes over the top through to Devon Conway. 1 for the over, signals Richard Kettleborough. 3 balls left of this over. India 94 for 6 if you're just tuning in. New Zealand winning the toss and electing to bowl first in Dubai. At the Ring of Fire, India feeling that they needed to bolster their batting with the potential of batting first. And the dew coming down a little bit later on. They only managed 150 odd against Pakistan, which was met with brutality as Thakur chips this ball straight. Will it go to hand as well? It does. Martin Guptill, fielding practice in the deep as Thakur is out for naught, and the pain continues for India. 2 wickets in the over for Trent Boult. When was the last time? Where's Andy Zaltzman when you need him? When was the last time there was a double wicket maiden in the 19th over? He's got 2 more balls left, Trent Boult.
Well, you can't blame him for playing that shot. You've got to score as many runs as you can, and 90 odd's just not enough. So, trying to look for a maximum there. It was a good slow ball, very similar to the delivery that he bowled to Hardik Pandya, and the same man taking the catch at mid-off. At least it gets Jadeja back on strike to hopefully, for India, to get a boundary away or a couple of boundaries away, get themselves over 100 by the end of this over.
No, it's been the complete performance from New Zealand so far. Guptill standing in the outfield with 2 black caps perched upon his head. Mohammed Shami in at number 9. India 94 for 7. 2 balls left of this 19th over as There's a roar in the crowd from the Indian supporters. He's received a bit of flack in the last couple of days, which Virat Kohli has been very vocal about, rightly so. Jadeja flicks the ball away to the boundary, a full delivery going for the Yorker, and Jadeja helps it around the corner. Much needed boundary as India moves from 98 for 7, Jadeja to 14.
The crowd's just come alive there, haven't they? Just randomly, out of nowhere. They've just come alive. There was a good shot from Jadeja, just getting down on one knee and sweeping it over short fine. It was a full toss about shin height, and he's just used the pace and got his boundary. It's a good shot, a much needed boundary for India.
So it won't be a double wicket maiden as Jadeja steps back, this time working out to deep backward square, looking to hoist it away to the deep mid-wicket boundary, catches the bottom part of the bat as he'll come through for 1, so he'll be on strike for the final over. 99 for 7 India, Jadeja to 15. And Bolt has finished figures of 3 for 20 from his 4, Ravi.
3 for 20 from 4 there, that's a brilliant spell. We spoke about at the start of the innings that India, notoriously known for struggling against left arm swing, usually doing the damage in their innings, and again Bolt's done the damage again, taking 3 very important wickets throughout the innings, only going for 20 runs, so he's put them in a fantastic position to go on and win this game, put themselves in a great position to qualify for the semis.
A sweat-drenched shirt is on Jadeja at the moment. Hot conditions in Dubai, even though it's the evening.
Big over here for Jadeja. See, he's got to try pushing to see if he can get 20, even more than 20 runs in this over. I can't see it happening, but...
Here comes Southey, bowling over the wicket. Jadeja advances, swats the ball out to deep mid-wicket. There's a man out there at wideish long on. They'll push back for 2. Southey, frustrated, signalling to Jimmy Neesham he should have thrown to his end. And the applause around the ground from the Indian spectators. India have reached 100, 101 for 7 in the 20th over.
Yeah, crowd are happy. They've got over 100. Not sure about Southey being disappointed there. It's really hard to run the non-striker out, even though he's running to the danger end. But usually, if the non-striker's out the blocks early.
As Jadeja is again setting back and not able to get this away, as Southey manages to bowl in the line of the leg stump, cramps Jadeja for room. He's on 17.
And not taking the single as well. So there was obviously an easier single on offer there, was out into the vacant leg side, but Jadeja just turned down the single. He wants the next 4 deliveries to make a difference.
So what can India muster with these final 4 deliveries? Southey pushing away now past the stumps, bowling wide of the crease, and Jadeja hoists this away to the leg side for 6. It's been a struggle to get the ball away. Well, maybe it's because he didn't bring the pitch into the equation on that occasion. Southey trying to bowl the Yorker, ended up being a full toss, and it was feeding practice for the crowd as Jadeja swatted it away.
Yeah, it was a good shot from Jadeja. He had to get all of it to get it over that leg side boundary, and he did. He got every single bit of that, and it's just carried over for 6, and he's going to need a few more.
107 for 7, 3 balls left. Jadeja looking to reach for the ball outside the off stump and guide it down to third man. It was bowled short into the pitch. He's staring, he's imploring at the umpire to signal a wide. He was stepped away on that occasion, but you have to wonder if he was stood in his crease whether he might have been able to get hold of that.
I think that's good bowling. I think that's really good bowling. It's top bins, as they say. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest places to hit a 6 from.
Yeah, you could understand there's a short third in position, so he goes again, this time connects with it, Jadeja. It's in the air but falls into space on the leg side, exactly where a mid-wicket on the inner circle would have been stood, as Guptill hurries towards the ball, turns and throws. They'll come back for 2 in the meantime, India. So 109 for 7. Southey pushing towards it, trying to catch it as well. But it lands favourably for India. One ball left of this innings. Jadeja on strike. Here comes Southee. Back of a length, pulled away by Jadeja, and we've seen it so many times. Down! Ish Sodhi. Drop catch in the deep. We thought it went to hand. As we have seen throughout this innings, there have been a couple of deliveries short that India have taken on and been caught in the deep. So that miss has meant that India pick up a single off the final ball, and they make it to 110.
Yeah, it was a good knuckleball from Southee, actually taking all the pace off it, so Jadeja had nothing to work with, and just hitting it down to fine leg, which into the waist, very similar to earlier on in the innings when Rohit Sharma was dropped. I must say at Dubai, there are some lights that go around the ground, and they go all the way around the ground. Sometimes the ball goes into those lights, and it's that sort of height which that ball came, you can lose the ball. So I don't want to make any excuses for him, but that may have happened.
A look of disdain on the face of Ish Sodhi, but in general, New Zealand can be incredibly pleased with their performance so far. Opting to bowl first, Kane Williamson at the toss, and it's more than they could have hoped for, restricting India to 110. 2 wickets picked up in the first 6. First to go, Ishan Kishan caught Daryl Mitchell out in the deep. A short ball bowled by Trent Boult, who was getting the ball to swing. It was a surprise delivery. He was out for 4. He was in the side in place of Suryakumar Yadav, who picked up a back injury at the start of the day. Then the next man to fall was KL Rahul. Caught Daryl Mitchell, bowled Tim Southee. Similar dismissal, looking to pull the ball, out for 18. 2 for 35 at that stage in the 6th over. Then Rohit Sharma looking to pull another short ball, this time from Ish Sodhi, but caught as he miscued it out to long on. He was out for 14. Virat Kohli looking to up the ante against Ish Sodhi, caught out long on for 9. That was a big blow for India, as we can now hear from Ish Sodhi.
29 and fine. Talk me through that pitch, because we were here against England-Aussie. Just seemed to take maybe a little bit more purchase.
Yeah, it certainly played a little bit slower than we saw. You know, looking at the wicket, there was a bit of grass cover on it. I thought it might slide on a little bit more than it did, but it certainly played slower than we expected.
Toss went the way of Kane. Okay, you go up front and field. Discussions there about maybe tactics, spinning early. How do you feel about that?
I think the main tactic was, I think a lot of teams have had a lot of success bowling first in these conditions over here, especially in Dubai. So I think the toss was based upon that opinion. But I don't think we expected it to turn a hell of a lot, and nor did it turn a huge amount. I think when you bowled a touch slower, it held on the surface slightly.
Things going New Zealand's way. I mean, this ground, a bit different with the lighting. Is that a bit of an issue under the night sky?
Yeah, it's certainly tough to catch under, Danny. Yeah, unfortunate to drop a couple of catches, but I think if you had asked us at the start of the game if we restrict them to under 120, I think we would have taken it.
Good to see you, and happy birthday, Ish Sodhi.
Cheers, Danny.
The birthday boy, Ish Sodhi, 2 for 17 from his 4 overs. Danny Morrison conducting the interview there. I'll just keep running through this Indian batting card. So Virat Kohli to go in the 11th over. Then it was Rishabh Pant, after forming a partnership with Hardik Pandya, trying to take on Adam Milne. He was bowled in the 15th over for 12. Then Hardik Pandya looking to go big at the end. Out caught in the deep by Martin Guptill for 23. Trent Boult back into the attack in the 19th over. And every time they tried to get away, India, New Zealand kept coming back at them. Shardul Thakur, the last wicket to fall for a duck, 7 for 94 at that stage, before India made it up to 110 thanks to 26 from 19 from Jadeja. Trent Boult outstanding, 3 for 20 from his 4, 1 for 26 for Tim Southee from his 4. Mitch Santner 0 for 15, played a really crucial role in the middle overs there, 0 for 15 from his 4. Adam Milne 1 for 30 from his, and Ish Sodhi, as I mentioned, 2 for 17 from his 4. Abhishek Jhunjhunwala is back with us. Well, he had to watch most of that innings from behind his chair. How are you feeling now?
I mean, it's not the total India would have wanted. But I just feel that if there is no dew factor, the only positive, if there is no dew factor, which we saw, that they were not rubbing the ball till the very end of the 20th over. And if the pitch is not changed because of the dew factor, there is a lot of turn, the ball's stopping quite a bit. So if India can pick those 2 or 3 quick wickets on this surface, I think there is a chance for India to come back into this game. But yeah, it's been exceptional from New Zealand. I think they've used the condition to perfection. They bowled the right bowlers at the right time. And now India is under a massive pressure. They might be out of this competition if they lose this.
No Bhuvneshwar Kumar to open the bowling for India. So who do they go with, Ravi?
Oh, well, they'll probably go with... what they could do is go with a spinner early to see if there is any purchase early on and put some of the New Zealand batsmen under pressure against spin, which they won't be used to normally facing spin early in their innings. So they could go with that. Or if they want to see if there's any swing, you've got Bumrah there who's got the ability to swing the ball, who's one of the best T20 bowlers in the world. So they've got bowling firepower. I just think 111's just... It's not enough. It's not enough runs.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if that dew does come in. Even if it doesn't, you think that New Zealand will back themselves at this stage. Plenty of rain here, though, in Salford at the moment. In general, though, Ravi, your thoughts on New Zealand's performance with the ball and in the field?
I thought they were brilliant with the ball. Couple of drop catches, okay, that's fine. It didn't. I don't think it really cost them too much. Rohit Sharma didn't exactly hurt them, and one drop catch coming off the last ball, but apart from that, they were brilliant. Their bowlers were disciplined. They had their plans. It was very obvious that they had their plans against the Indian batsmen. We saw it played out in front of our eyes. Bounce a first ball to Rohit Sharma, knows that he hooks upwards. You know, they took the risk that he could hook it for 6, which he does on so many occasions. I think on smaller grounds in India, bit harder here where the ground's big and you'll get an opportunity to take a catch. And swing bowling as well early with Bolt opening the bowling. And I always feel if you do have a left-arm swing bowler in your team, he should have the first over. You should always give him the first over. A lot of batsmen do struggle with left-arm swing, and it's a great option. That's what Pakistan have done so well as well.
Felt like Williamson made good choices throughout the innings. When India were looking to I guess, put their foot on the gas, they always were able to pick up a wicket or at least keep some control.
Yeah, I think they won all the moments. We often talk about the moments in cricket which can change and which can make a side lose and win. I think Kane Williamson picked the right bowlers at the right time. He juggled his bowler around perfectly, when to use spin, when to use pace. And he's an experienced captain, experienced player. He knows exactly what to do. He's been leading the side for a while. But from India's point of view, I think their batting intent has to change, which Ravi mentioned at the very start. That when they came out in the middle, in the first 4 deliveries, you can sense that there is no intent. There's no... They were not looking for runs. They were very happy to just play out those deliveries. You can't have those sort of intent. It has worked in the past for India, maybe, but it's not working anymore. So they need to change it. And all these players are more than capable of playing those shots. We have seen in the practice matches against England, against Australia, where the intent was a lot different what we have seen in the previous 2 matches against Pakistan and New Zealand.
With net run rate being a factor, do you sense that New Zealand will come out the blocks and try and be aggressive?
Yeah, I think they'll fancy their chances. I think if they get themselves into a position where they, you know that reachable target, sort of 40, 50 away from their target, that's when you might see them really put their foot on the gas if they're in a good position. But I think the initial chat in the change room will be, right now is, guys, well done, great first half, the job's not done, we've still got to go out and chase these runs. India have got a good bowling lineup, let's be disciplined, like they normally are, they're very disciplined. They'll get into a great position, and then you might find someone like Kane Williamson having those chats to his dressing room or to the coach and saying, what do you think about net run rate? Should we just try and knock these off in the next couple of overs and get our run rate up? Because Afghanistan's run rate is so good.
It really is. They sit on 4 points at the moment. Pakistan at the top of Group 2, having won 3 out of 3. Virat Kohli is expressing some stern words to his team. Arms around each other in the huddle. They've got to fight like their lives depend on it. India, as they search for their first 2 points. Tomorrow we have England against Sri Lanka, of course, over in Group 1. England having won their 3 from 3 and top of the table on 6. Commentary from 1:45 p.m. here on 5 Live Sports Extra. That's our only game tomorrow. So Martin Guptill striding out to the middle with Daryl, Mitchell, Abhishek Junjunwala. I'll get your thoughts as to how India should approach this first 6 overs. And then it will be over to Kevin Howells.
I think India needs to be very careful which bowlers they use in the first 6 overs. They don't want to go with somebody like Shardul, Thakur and see, if I can take an over or 2 out of him in the power play and lose the game in the first 6 overs. Whereas if they can get those 20-30 runs of Shardul Thakur's couple of overs in the power play, is going to be match over. So they have to try and bowl the best bowlers in the first 6. Try and make it really, really difficult for New Zealand to score any runs. And in that process, if they can pick up a couple of wickets, that's going to be bonus. But they cannot afford to lose the game in the first 6. They can't win the game in the first 6, but they can very well lose the game in the first 6 if they don't do well.
I was expecting a tense afternoon, okay? I was expecting it to be a little bit nervous, full of jeopardy. But I wasn't expecting it to feel quite like this at the halfway point. Now it's more fright than nerves.
Yeah,
and I'm not actually. I just thought I'm not trying to walk in there to a nice Halloween analogy on this October the 31st, but it is a bit scary.
It is very, very scary if you're an Indian fan and if you're an Indian cricket team supporter. But as I said, I think they, and Ravi also mentioned, they will probably try and explore as much as they can in the first 6. There was a bit of turn, there was a bit of in it for the spinners, and that's why probably Varun Chakaravarthy is going to start proceedings. I think that's a very good move. They haven't seen him in the past. Yes, some of the guys who played in the IPL must have seen him, but majority of their batters haven't seen him. So this could be a
bit of leg spin and a nice little bit of walking behind the bowler's arm as well. So just as we were ready to get going, we have to hold proceedings up. Guptill and Mitchell are the opening pair. Guptill here, works that one away behind square on the onside, and there's a man running around. I hope there was a man running around that I couldn't quite see on my monitor, because the one I could see running had given up on it. Anyway, it's 2 runs. Guptill is fit. I thought that as he walked out there, he took some good catches and he was great in the field, but I thought he just looked a bit ginger, maybe just walking on that toe. He took a nasty blow the other night. This one is worked up towards mid-on, and there will be no run. I think they're signalling here. This ball just been pushed through with a finger.
Yeah, he does a very good change-ups. He flicks it from the front of the hand.
Chakaravarthy it is bowling, and here comes the call from Guptill as he'll pick up a single on the onside. He'll move to 3. The target 111. We need to repeat that a little bit because people just joining us may not quite believe it, but it is true. The target is only 111. There's so much to think about the India way of batting and why it should be so different to franchise. I talk about this this consequence of defeat, which does apply here with India. Perhaps it doesn't with franchise cricket. This is in the air but safe there on the leg side, and they'll go through for 1. I think that's going to be signalled it is by umpire Kettleborough as a leg bye. But it's the fact that T20 has not arrived in the last 12 months or 2 years. It's been around for an awful long time now, so why still would India be playing like that? But anyway, 4 for no wicket is the score here for New Zealand. Target of 111, and this game has not yet been won by New Zealand, by the Black Caps, and India are going to make it as hard as they possibly can. But this is a good steady first over from New Zealand's point of view, and they get 6 runs from it.
Yeah, on the other hand, you see the intent straight away from the Kiwis. Daryl Mitchell straight away, first ball, stepping out, looking to go for that big shot, very smartly bowled by Varun Chakaravarthy on his pads. But still, that intent we often talk about in T20 cricket, that was lacking from the Indian openers. We can see it straight away from the Kiwis.
So, a last ball of the opening over. Ooh, just setting off for a single that wasn't there, Guptill. So, it's 5 for no wicket after 1 over. Target 111. Chakaravarthy there. With Kane Williamson, we can see all helmeted up and ready for action. And yeah, you've got to look at the captain and the wonderful leadership of this team, and an awful lot of credit. And I'm sure he'd be the first to say towards his bowlers and towards his players, and they would be the first to say, but it's the way we're led. And they've got a really good, competent, professional team who are very hard to beat. However, of course, they lost the first game as well, which is why they're under a bit of pressure. Bumrah is going to bowl his Jasprit Bumrah is going to bowl his first over of the evening, now 2nd over of this New Zealand replying with Guptill facing on 4. Now Guptill is more than capable of seeing off a target like this in quick time.
Oh, he can. He's one of the most dangerous, one of my favorite cricketers, to be honest. The way he bats on his day, he can win matches very, very quickly. And same, Bumrah could do the same in terms of a bowler.
Yeah.
But again, when you're only chasing 111, it's just a matter of 2 overs where you get 10 and over and you're through.
And he comes in with that very unique approach. Uppish a little on the onside. There won't be a single here.
Yeah, what will be interesting to see how many towels are there out there in the ground, because that will suggest and that would give us an indication of if the ball's getting wet, is there enough dew?
Yeah.
And if that happens, then
I thought I saw each player being given one, actually.
Given one, yeah. So we have to wait and see how much of a dew plays into this game, because that's going to make life so much easier for the Kiwi batters out there, because the ball is going to skid onto the surface and come to the bat really, really nicely. Easy to play those shots.
Bumrah again to Martin Guptill on middle and leg, Yorker length delivery. But there is no good excuse for New Zealand to feel any frustration here. If the bowler's bowling well, no problem. No problem.
And the thing is, they can afford to do that. They can afford to play out Bumrah's 4 over. They can afford to play out Chakaravarthy's 4 over and just pick up, even if those 8 overs they get 30-35. They're still in a very good position to win the game, because they only need run a ball from there. So nothing to worry in terms of New Zealand batters.
Bumrah again to the right-handed Guptill, full Yorker length. Lovely little contest. Terrific contest. However, because of that target, you think you're quite chilled.
Yeah, you're very chilled. You can afford to just sit down and watch and just play out those deliveries. If they're good deliveries, there's no real pressure on you as a batter to go after the bowling, to take those extra risks which you would have taken if India had 160 on board. Then you can't afford to just play out these deliveries. But at the moment, they can.
Indeed, indeed. So Bumrah, midway through this opening over of his, second over of the innings, and Guptill does find a gap on the onside for 1. Moves to 5. Takes New Zealand to 6 for no wicket in this second over. India and New Zealand last met in T20 Internationals, a 5-match series back in New Zealand in January of 2020. Do you remember? That was pre-pandemic. Do you remember those times? They seem an age ago.
They do seem a long back.
There were a couple of super overs in that series as well, but India 5-0 winners.
5-0, yes.
Whole different story, whole different set of circumstances.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different game. When you're just touring aside and you're just playing against them, it's very different. And when you're in a world event, when in your ICC T20 World Cup, the pressure and everything is so much different. And that showed in today's game when India came out to bat.
Mitchell, he had to get off the mark. He's only faced 2 deliveries. His third one almost takes him off his feet. Fires out into the offside. So Bumrah has bowled a really good over first up there. He's gone for 1 run, and it's 6 for no wicket. Is that completed? No, there is 1 ball, sorry. There is 1 ball still to go. I thought that was the last ball of that.
Yeah, that's a massive in-swinger, dipping Yorker. Just missing the leg stump. But what a delivery that was. Straight away a shake of the head from Bumrah saying, no, missing leg. Because Virat Kohli, we know how quick he is to do that, to take the review.
Here's the final ball of this second over. And Jasprit Bumrah has bowled a good one so far. Again there on leg stump. There is bat on it this time from Mitchell into the offside, but he's faced 4 deliveries, hasn't got off the mark yet. 6 for no wicket after 2 overs, 111 being the target. And in normal circumstances, and in a game where you've got a few more runs on the board, you'd be saying, well bowled, terrific. But
or if you could have 10 overs from Bumrah.
Yeah. No, I'm afraid at this late stage we can't call in the technical committee as much as certain Indian supporters like you may want.
Yeah. Can Bumrah have 10 overs from one side, please?
Can we have a quick meeting here? We get Simon Dewell in. I forget there's one of the other commentators involved as well, and another couple. No, that can't happen. Guptill on 5, 6 for no wicket after 2 overs. Continuation here of spin with Chakaravarthy, which he bowled well first up and continues to bowl well. That one again played by tall, strong figure of Guptill on the ground on the onside. No run.
Yeah, but from New Zealand point of view, they can sit on it. They can be 20 no loss after 6 and still be in a very good position to win the game.
And next ball, leaning back, carved away, finds the gap. There's Guptill. Nice shot, actually. He'll feel really good about that. We know he can launch it in front as well, but playing that one behind square on the offside, finds the boundary, 10 for no wicket in the third over. Guptill moves on to 9.
And looking at that shot, I think the Indian spinners and the Indian supporters would be very nervous, because you can sense the ball is coming onto the bat a lot better. It's skidding on, it's not stopping, which was happening in the first innings. So dew is playing a factor already, you can sense.
Yeah, Guptill on 9. He has gone straight on this time. It's in the air. Is it going to fall nicely? Not to the field. There's nobody out there. It's going to be a 4. Falls just inside the boundary rope. Vacant area, empty area. So just lobbed over the top there. And again, comfortable. No real risk for Guptill. He goes pretty straight. The offside is straight. Has a look at that, a long, hard look. It goes a long way up, just wondering if it's going to fall for a fielder, but there's nobody out there. 1 bounce, a 4. He moves to 13, and it's 14 for no wicket midway through the third over. 13 not out of 11 deliveries for the big Kiwi opener. Guptill on 13. He goes where this time? On the onside. There is a man out there on this occasion. Rahul does the fielding, gets down on his knee, and it's 14 for Guptill, then 15 for no wicket for New Zealand. 2 balls remaining of the third over. New Zealand have won just 1 game in 8 previous T20 internationals in the UAE. That was back in December 2014 against Pakistan, so they don't really enjoy their T20 cricket in this part of the world normally. Will they tonight? We wait and see. Mitchell this time will get runs on the ball, behind square on the onside, and he will get just the single, so he's off the mark, and it's 16 for no wicket. 1 ball left of the third over in this World Cup T20, and India are in trouble. They're in big trouble here. Big defeat first up, and they've got all on here to stop it from being played to and lost to. Guptill down on 1 knee, along the ground, pulled away. Will the fielder be able to get to it? Yes. Jadeja picking up a yard inside the boundary rope, therefore 2 runs for Guptill. And he moves to 16. 3 overs gone, 18 for no wicket, so a bit more expensive that from Chakaravarthy. But Guptill gets his eye in, you see, and when he gets his eye in, he's very difficult to bowl to. Mitchell's still on 1, at the target 111. New Zealand steady as she is at the moment at 18 for no wicket after 3 overs, midway through the power play of 6.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any trouble for Martin Guptill or the Kiwis at the moment. As I said, the dew definitely looks to play in a bit of a factor. It's not an excuse, it's just that that's the way the game works. When the dew comes in, it's very easy for the batters to play those shots, because the ball comes onto the bat a lot better than the first innings, where it was stopping. It was a bit grabby as well. It was holding on to the surface a bit more when the bowlers were bowling those slower balls and those cutters. But at the moment, it's easy for the Kiwis here.
Still no change in the bowling. Bumrah back in for his second over. Diving stop there from the keeper in the end. That was a good goalkeeping type stop. Moving to his left-hand side. It's going to be given as a wide as well by the umpire. Decent effort from the keeper, but it's 20 for no wicket. Just have a look at this. Where did this come off? Oh, maybe the glove? Maybe
yeah, it was very, very close to the gloves and the bat, but great effort from Rishabh Pant. That was going to the boundary. Would have been 5 byes, but brilliant, just brilliant from Rishabh Pant. Has to dive to his left. Was very, very far away, the ball from him, but still managed to get the hand.
So in terms of legal deliveries, we're still at the start of the 4th over. Well, what does Guptill do there? Oh, he had a little bit of fortune there, because he just plays it down into the ground. I'd like to see how close that was. That looked pretty close to me. First up, and maybe just rolling onto the stumps. But not to be. No change in bowling here, though. Still sticking with Bumrah again. We're into the 4th over.
Yeah, as I said, they have to bowl their best bowlers in the first 6 overs. They can't afford to bring Shardul, Thakur and go for those 10, 15, maybe a bit more, and lose the game in the first 6. So probably that's the reason they're trying to pick, and they understand the only way they can come back into this game and win this game is by picking 2 or 3 wickets in the power play. If they don't do that, it's very hard for India to make any sort of comeback.
Bumrah to Guptill, and that is right on the Yorker length delivery. As I say, in nearly all other circumstances, you'd just be sitting back and applauding the bowling here, because it's terrific, and you know, quite difficult to get away. But gosh, they want good and more. They want exceptional, and they need, in all truth, they need a special moment, a moment of fortune, luck, or outstanding fielding or something to give them a boost. The moment is all New Zealand, with Guptill on 16. Creates a bit of space in the air, up and over the man on the edge of the circle there, extra cover, races to the boundary. Guptill moves to 20, racing along New Zealand. 24 for no wicket midway through this 4th over. The target 111. As I say, it's typical of New Zealand, this right at the moment. They've got it all under control, and they have virtually from the word go in this World Cup match this evening.
Oh, they have. And again, great option here. The mid-off was inside the 30-yard circle is the first 6 overs, just giving himself a little bit of room outside that leg stump, a little shimmy, and then just going through the shot. And I've said it multiple times, they can only do it because the ball's coming onto the bat nicely.
Guptill on 20. Oh, he's taking one hand off the bat here. I'm not sure he's got enough on that. Man under it, he could be out. And he is at the second attempt. Oh, there's a bit of juggling going on. Okay, so something for Indian supporters to cheer at the end of the very dangerous Kiwi opener. Guptill, Martin Guptill's gone for 20. He took one hand off the bat, didn't get hold of it as he would have liked, and therefore it was caught there on the onside. Out towards mid-wicket, mid-on. He takes a look up at the screen, so a breakthrough. They need much more than this, India, but they've got rid of a man who could easily just single-handedly, almost, no pun intended there on that shot, pull off the win. But there we are. It's Shardul that takes the catch, and an important dismissal, but they need so much more.
They do.
Needing just 111, but Guptill's gone. Caught by Thakur off the bowling of Bumrah for 20 off 17 deliveries, 24 for 1. And we've got 2 balls left of the 4th over.
Again, a great change-up. Wonderful change-up from Jasprit Bumrah. Well disguised at the very end, just rolling his wrist over. Good to see that the ball did stop a little bit. So the ball is still stopping if you can roll your fingers, if you can bowl those slower balls. And Bumrah, the man who possesses so much talent, he's got such variations, it's just brilliant. And they needed a breakthrough, and they got a very big one in terms of Martin Guptill. But in comes one of the most experienced batters in world cricket, Kane Williamson. He is just brilliant whenever he walks out there in the middle. And he will do his job. He knows exactly what to do. Just nudges the 1s and 2s. When he gets the opportunity to hit those boundaries, he's going to try and steady this ship.
He's not on strike at the moment. Mitchell is. He's on 1, and he should make that maybe 3. There's a fielder out in pursuit. Should be able to drag it back in, and does. It took a lot of hard work in the end. Mitchell actually will pick up 3 runs for this, so he moves on to 4, and New Zealand move to 27 for 1. 1 ball left of the 4th over. In world sport, is there a more understated, exceptional, wonderful performer than Kane Williamson? Everything about him just seems to be so quiet and, as I say, understated at times.
Is somebody like who's always in the zen, in his zone, in the zen zone.
Yeah.
Where he's like a yogi who's just, he knows exactly what to do. He's going to walk into the middle, do his job very quietly, and then just go off the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a class act, Kane Williamson.
I first came across him in Gloucestershire. He played maybe it was just 1 season. I can't remember. 1 or 2 seasons down there domestically in England. He then played for Yorkshire, of course, and an important part of their success there. But now here he is leading New Zealand. He's done so well, and of course franchise cricket as well with the IPL. And this first delivery he faces, he's not too sure whether there's a single there, but he was called through confidently by his teammate Mitchell. So they do get 1. And he's off the mark with his 1, and New Zealand to 28 for 1 after 4 overs. There was a wide to get it underway. There was a wicket in there, a 4, a 3 and a 1, a bit of everything from Bumrah. But Guptill is gone, and it's really important to get rid of somebody like Guptill when you've got such a modest target, because he is capable of just doing it all himself. Well, it won't be tonight for him, although he's got them off to a good start. Williamson on 1, Mitchell on 4. Now, surely we'll see a bit of a change. You might and should imagine, surely, for this vote. No, continuation. So, as you were saying, just continue with your best.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do here. And if, again, we did a poll on Kane Williamson and just put out 4 questions that if Kane Williamson just got his first run and guessed the shot he got the first run from, I think 99% of the people would have just said that he just dabbed one to third man and took a single. And that's exactly what he did. Picked the slow ball very, very early from Bumrah and just that easy single.
Williamson on 1. Chakaravarthy bowls his 3rd over. 16 runs conceded so far. Williamson at the moment, for everything we've just said about him, looks a little bit nervous.
He does.
He wasn't too sure about that one he was called for before, and now he's pushed the ball, doesn't know whether to go or not.
There is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure, Kevin.
Yeah, but we've just said he's in the zen zone, or you have, and I thought that was beautiful. He doesn't look like it at the moment.
At the moment, suddenly changed after 1 delivery. He came out of his zen.
Yeah. However, the win predictor should put him back in that, because it's 95% at the moment for New Zealand. 28 for 1 in the 5th over. We've sent out vibes which have made him very nervous from this far away. One of two deliveries, Williamson, at the moment. And the spin continuing. Chakaravarthy and in past the umpire now. In bowls and a little dab away from Williamson. Needed to be confident there because he was right on the off stump. He'll move to 2. New Zealand 29 for 1 in this 5th over. Don't forget tomorrow here on 5 Live Sports Extra we've got England versus Sri Lanka from 1:45. More live sport follows this game here tonight with commentary on the Women's FA Cup semi-final between Arsenal and Brighton. And that's followed by the return of NFL commentary from 8 p.m. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at New Orleans Saints. So all of that to come, both tonight and tomorrow. Chakaravarthy in, looking to reverse this Mitchell. All along the ground. There's a man just behind square. There will be no run, but a little bit of confidence being shown by the New Zealand opener there.
It's just got to be a bit careful with that reverse sweep against somebody like Varun Chakaravarthy, who's got a lot of variations, and he does change them up quite nicely at the very end. Very subtle variations from Varun Chakaravarthy. He's bowled well so far. He's gone for 17, not picked up a wicket.
No, he hasn't, and he's in bowls, and that's driven by Mitchell up and over the fielder who's standing there fairly close in the mid-wicket. So Mitchell will get 1. He moves to 5, and it's 30 for 1. 2 balls left of the 5th over. This group match with Afghanistan winning their game earlier today against Namibia. They're in a good position now. I tell you, I like the look of them. Possibilities of the semi-final for them, and who wouldn't necessarily have thought that? Pakistan, of course, with 3 from 3 should I say, wins. Chakaravarthy to Williamson. Can't get it away on the onside. Dot ball, but 30 on the board already. We've got another over a power play after this, and it's 81 from 91 deliveries at the moment. And New Zealand, they always like to go out there and prove people wrong if they can. That's what they love doing. Although it's hard to write them off really with their track record. I know they've not necessarily won. This one's pushed into the one side, won a tournament like this, but you know they've got good players and they've gone so close in the past. So 81 from 90 deliveries. New Zealand at 30 for 1. Williamson on 2, Mitchell 5. Chakaravarthy now with 18 from his 3 overs. A little bit more from Abhishek, and then we're saying hello to Ishigua again, who will be coming in and seeing you through for the next 5 overs.
Yeah, I think the only positive for India after the first 5 overs that they were a bit ahead. They were 5 runs ahead with the same number of wickets lost. So that's the only positive India could take from this match so far. But otherwise, it's been all Kiwis. It's been all New Zealand. They have been brilliant throughout. Since they won the toss, I don't think they've put a foot wrong in this game. But at the moment, if India can pick up a couple of wickets, Jadeja has been brought into the attack to bowl the last over of the power play, which I think is a better option than going with Mohammed Shami or Shardul, Thakur or Hardik Pandya. India has got options with their bowling, but Jadeja is the right man to do the job at the moment, Isha.
Final over of the power play, 30 for 1 New Zealand as Mitchell advances, can't get it away, hits the ball to mid-wicket, no run. I wonder if they kept going with Chakaravarthy as well. I'm not sure whether the dew has come down yet, so trying to get rid of some overs of the spin bowler early. Slip in play for the left arm Jadeja as that is hit up and over. It's gone long, it's gone high, it's gone for 6 off the bat of Daryl Mitchell. 36 for 1 in the 6th over.
Dew has come in. If you had any doubt, I promise you with that shot I can guarantee that the dew has come in. Otherwise you wouldn't play that shot on that pitch. He was nowhere close to that delivery, but the way he just extended his arm and went through the shot, and oh boy, that ball travelled, and that ball travelled a long distance.
Well, he's doing his job as Daryl Mitchell. 27 from 20 in the first game. Here he is, powerful striker of the ball. New Zealand have sort of juggled with their opener in the last 18 months or so. They've used Tim Seifert up there, but it's Mitchell who has possession at the moment as he defends the ball back to Jadeja. Good length delivery on the middle stump, just firing that in a little bit quicker, a bit more back of a length.
Yeah, hint of turn as well, which is a good sign, but still.
Jadeja in again as that's hit up and over mid-wicket, this time with plenty of power, this time off the back foot as he flays it away, and another boundary for Mitchell, this time a 4, as New Zealand go to 40 for 1 in the 6th over. They're making light work of this at the moment, Abhishek.
They are. If they keep going like this, it's not going to last for very long, and we won't be sitting here and commentating for very long, Isha. At the moment, everything seems very, very easy for both these players, especially Mitchell.
The bearded Daryl Mitchell. Forward, back, cuts, pass point, out to the deep cover boundary. And that was seriously effortless. Just the wrists into the shot, strong forearms. Didn't really get to the line of the ball, but just, again, the looseness of his wrists able to come through it. And that's back-to-back fours for Mitchell now. So 44 for 1, New Zealand.
Yeah, just exquisite batting. Again, going through that offside, all hands.
Final ball of the power play. Again, tries to crunch it through the covers, but finds Virat Kohli at extra cover. No run then. 67 required from 84 deliveries for New Zealand to pick up their first 2 points in the T20 World Cup. Williamson 2, Mitchell on 19 of 14. 44 for 1 after 6, requiring 111 at the start of this innings. Abhishek?
Yeah, I would still think that they needed Ravindra Chahal in this tournament. We discussed it earlier as well.
I was thinking that earlier, actually, yeah.
They do need a wrist spinner. They need a leg spinner who can bowl those googlies, who's got so much variation. And given the way he bowled in the IPL, the way he used the condition during the IPL, he was for me, he was the best spinner in the IPL for India. For whatever reason,
then they had a chance to call him up late as well, didn't they?
Yeah. They did bring Shardul Thakur in place of... I'm missing who they bought. Shardul Thakur in place of Akshay Patel. Yeah, but they could have done the same, bought Chahal in place of Chahar, but that didn't happen. But at the moment, Mohammed Shami, who's been brought into the attack, very, very expensive throughout his career in T20 cricket, just under 10.
Well, here he comes now. What can he do? Can he extract the New Zealand captain? Bowling to him, and Williamson guiding past point down to third man. Nearly slips as he turns to come back for the second. But will just be the single. He plays that so very late. It's a good length delivery, looking to hit the top of off. He just waits on it. If he waits any later, it's going through. It's hitting the top of off, but he just waits and dabs it down. 45 for 1, New Zealand.
Yeah, great control. When he plays that shot, it's just control all over it. And often he gets a single without any effort. And that's why it's so hard to bowl any dot balls to somebody like Kane Williamson.
Here comes Shami again, bustling in. It's flayed away again by Mitchell over to the leg side. Very agricultural on that occasion. It's the edge or the inner part of the bat as it finds its way to deep backward square. Will come through for 1, moves to 20, 46 for 1, 65 required from 82 deliveries here, New Zealand. Got confidence playing against India in World Cups, don't they?
Yeah, always. They find their best form against India. Somehow or the other, they don't really lose to India very often in the T20.
Protection square of the wicket and behind the stumps for Shami. Here he comes bowling short to Williamson, who dips underneath that one. Not signalled, it is signalled a wide by Richard Kettleborough down the leg side.
Also, India's bowlers' execution hasn't been up to the mark, apart from Jasprit Bumrah. His Varun Chakaravarthy struggled a little bit because the ball was coming onto the bat quite nicely, and Guptill played some brilliant shots against him, but still you feel that the execution from previous over, we saw that from Jadeja. He bowled too many balls which were there to be hit and hence went for 14. You've got to do better.
Not for 43 for Mohammed Shami in the last game against Pakistan, as Williamson advances and guides the ball out to deep cover. Shami just bringing the length back, line similar, top of off, but Williamson goes to 48 for 1 after 6.3 over. 63 required from 81 now, New Zealand.
Yeah, India need a hat-trick bowler. Somebody who can just come in and take a hat-trick here. Who's going to be? That's the difficult question.
Well, we talked about net run rate, didn't we?
Yeah.
And even if India lose, can they just prolong this? As Shami hustles in, bowls full, driven by Mitchell to mid-off, no run.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, you're looking at, so Pakistan way out in front, 6 points, 3 from 3. Afghanistan have won 2, so they're on 4 points. India, after this, have got Afghanistan in Abu Dhabi, which is an evening game. Then Scotland, then Namibia. Whereas it's the other way around for New Zealand. They've got Scotland and Namibia as Mitchell pulls this away effortlessly for 6 out to the deep backward square boundary, dragging his length back, Mohammed Shami. And that reminded me of the way Jos Buttler was playing his strokes yesterday. Just looks like he's barely even touching the ball. Trying to bowl the slower ball, it's kicking on, it's not really holding in the wicket. So you're right, that dew has settled in now and making it a lot easier for New Zealand in this chase.
Yeah, just magnificent. Very, very good pickup shot. I'm not sure if he did pick up the slow ball or not, but he did pick up the length very, very quickly. And the ball came onto the bat quite nicely as well. It was very easy for him.
57 off 79 required. Doesn't get hold of this one. Hits the gloves. It's a similar delivery, and he manages to keep it down though towards Rohit Sharma at mid-wicket. Mitchell to 27. As New Zealand are 55 for 1 after 7 overs. 56 required from 78 deliveries to pick up their first couple of points, New Zealand. And then they've got Scotland on the 3rd of November, Namibia on the 5th, followed by Afghanistan on the 7th of November in Abu Dhabi. And you would just wonder how that pitch is going to play during the day. Might bring Afghanistan into that match as Ravi has come in for Abhishek. 56 from 78 deliveries, but that's why net run rate is so very crucial.
Yeah, and it's massive. I mean, it looks as though New Zealand have sniffed an opportunity here to up their run rate. You can see they're still going quite hard. They know they only need another 56 runs with 9 wickets in hand, so it's a great opportunity for them to finish India off as quick as possible and really boost their net run rate. Do you think they should have a dew calculator?
Yeah, as Jadeja is in to Mitchell, who's whipping the ball out to mid-wicket and moves the score to 56 for 1. Mitchell to 28 off 19. Jadeja bowling, and a bit like DLS that kind of takes into account
the dew. Yeah,
well,
so you can,
if it rains and takes into account wickets in hand when it comes to a chase, if a game is shortened, something for dew that recalculates the score as Williamson guides this past short third out to the 3rd boundary. Mohammed Shami on the chase, but he's given up as it crashes into the advertising sponge. That was delicately played off the left arm spinner. Williamson to 860 for 1, New Zealand.
Almost like a device which calculates how much dew there is, and based on the reading on that device you add a certain amount of runs to the team batting first.
I like your thought process. I mean, it's been the same for every game that's been played in Dubai, as Williamson is back and punching the ball out to deep cover for a single. Williamson to 9, 50 required from 75 for New Zealand.
Because it seems so unfair that you can go into a World Cup game and lose a toss and almost put yourself at a massive disadvantage just from a toss of a coin. It just don't seem right.
Jadeja spears this one in as Mitchell's on the back foot, working it out to deep mid-wicket for a single. 29 off 20 for him, 62 for 1 New Zealand, 49 from 74 required. Yep, I'm with you. If there's a way of being able to do it, then I think it absolutely should be deployed going forwards. But I guess the damage has already been done in this tournament as Williamson chips the ball out to deep cover, into out. As he comes back for 2, moves to 11. 64 for 1 New Zealand, 47 required from 73, with 1 more ball left of this 8th over. It's gone for 7 so far, as Williamson guides the ball to point. No run, 64 for 1 after 8. 47 from 72 then, New Zealand.
And for those who are listening, we're talking about dew and what dew does. It can really, when it sets on a on a field or a cricket field, what happens is the ball can get wet and slide onto the bat a lot easier, which makes it easier for the batters to hit through the line, and it becomes almost one-paced wicket and becomes harder for the spinners or even the seamers to grip the ball. It has so many factors that when you hit the ball into the surface, it skids off more and passes the fielders who are in closer. It goes past them a lot quicker, and also it has less revs on the ball when the ball's wet. So when there's less revs on the ball, there's less chance you're going to get turned, and if there's less revs on the ball will travel further. So when batters hit it, it goes that much further because there's no spin on the ball.
Basically all in favour of the batting team.
Massively.
As Varun Chakaravarthy is in the leg spinner. Mitchell forwards looking to paddle the ball around the corner, hits the pad outside the line of off stump, and doesn't connect. Chakaravarthy bowling his 4th over, having bowled 3 in the power play. He's gone for 18 so far. 47 needed for the Black Caps and their first 2 points in this tournament. Mitchell working the ball out to deep mid-wicket. Off the front foot, and comes through for 1. As the throw is sent in, Mitchell to 30, 65 for 1 New Zealand, 46 from 70 deliveries. I mean, they have certain chemicals that they use on the outfield. I know they do it in India to try and limit that dew factor. As Williamson is on strike, gently crouches down, then guides the ball to backward point for a quick single. They'll rush through. Mitchell gets in comfortably. Got to be careful there. Jadeja hovering at point. He's got a wonderful throw. That left arm nearly hitting the stumps. I think he might have been okay. We're looking at the replay. No, would have been gone if he'd have struck the stumps. 45 from 69. Mitchell driving the ball out to long on. A good led delivery that he doesn't get hold of, but that's fine because he's able to come through for the 1.
Jadeja's so quick at releasing the ball. I mean, he almost gets into a position. Just as he's picking up the ball, he's almost already into a throwing position. So really from there, when he winds back and gets rid of it, the process is so quick, which saves him time. It saves you that split second, which is the difference for a batsman being in and being run out by a yard.
For those who haven't heard of Chakaravarthy as well, made his name in the IPL playing for KKR as he bowls on the stumps. Williamson comes forwards, hits the inner part of the bat and trickles out to the leg side. They'll come through for 1. 13 to the New Zealand captain, 68 for 1. New Zealand with 1 more ball left of this 9th over, 43 from 67 required. It's usually the other way round, isn't it, when you think of a T20 chase? The equation to New Zealand doing this comfortably at the moment. Required rate of 3.85 as Mitchell bat hovering, drives the straight bat out to Rahul at long on. Full face of the bat down there as Mitchell comes through for a single at the end of the over. 5 coming from that one from Chakaravarthy, 23 from his 4 overs, but wicketless. Something that India so desperately need is wicket. 69 for 1 after 9, 42 from 66 required.
The man on the mic is trying his best to get this crowd going. They're so quiet. I mean,
they've been silenced, haven't they?
Yeah, there's quite a few fans in there, which we're quite used to seeing in Dubai. When you play there, it's a pretty quiet ground anyway. Nobody really comes, and there's loads of echoes in the ground. But today there are fans in, plenty of Indian fans, but they've been silenced by New Zealand. New Zealand have been brilliant.
Yeah, I've seen a few Punjabi drums dotted around the dole.
The moon looks like a cricket ball.
Yeah, it does. I did this yesterday as well.
Got a picture of the moon on the screen.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, they weren't quite sure if it was the cricket ball or the moon yesterday when Joss Buttler was smoking it to all parts. I mean, that was some lethal, belligerent hitting as Shardul Thakur was going to come into the attack 42 required from 66 for New Zealand to register their first win. Williamson 13, Mitchell 32. They've become a bit of a thorn in the side, New Zealand, for India in World Cups. There's Thakur is in now, bowling wide of the off stump. Mitchell looking to drive through the cover region, but a couple of bounces to mid-off, no run. Test Championship final, the one-day World Cup semi-final 2 years ago, the T20 World Cup in 2016, and prior to that as well. Both encounters, New Zealand coming out on top. Mitchell swats this away to the boundary. On the leg side, it goes up and over. Ravi Jadeja, who is positioned at deep backward square for 6. And the sound off the bat, well, it's something you would have been proud of, Ravi. 75 for 1, 36 required for New Zealand.
Yeah, well, it was a great length for him to get underneath, just swatting it around. It was sort of a waist-height delivery where Mitchell's quite strong and just pulling it away over that mid-wicket region for a 6. Nice and still at the crease as well.
36 from 64 needed. Mitchell on 38 off 26. He crouches, then raises himself up and looks to launch it back down the ground, but nowhere near it as it goes through to the keeper.
New Zealand obviously sniffing it early. What a very early victory here. It's really going to help them moving forward.
Now then, it's Trent Bolt again.
Well, they're just re-showing. They're re-showing Ben Stokes hitting a 6 at Lords in the 2019 World Cup final, the one-day World Cup final, where Trent Bolt takes the catch but then slips and hits the rope as Mitchell has slammed this out to the deep mid-wicket boundary this time. He's standing tall and taking care of Shardul Thakur as it goes for 4. Disappointment on the faces of the Indian players as Mitchell goes to 42, 79 for 1. This is a hammering now.
Yeah, and India have got to be careful here. They've got to also have in mind that they don't want New Zealand to score these runs too quickly because it will hurt their run rate, obviously. So they've got to do whatever they can to just drag this game out as long as possible.
10 off the over, 2 balls to go as Mitchell this time goes down the ground, slightly fuller, and it's met with brutality off the bat of Daryl Mitchell, who goes to 46 from 29 deliveries, 83 for 1. As New Zealand need 28 from 61. They're doing this quickly with 1 more ball left to go.
Yeah, all a little bit too easy. He had no mid-wicket out, and he bowled 2 short balls and got hit over mid-wicket for boundaries, and then having mid-off up and then pitching it right up to Mitchell, who's in aggressive mode as it is. Easy pickings for Mitchell just to loft it over mid-off for 4.
Virat Kohli looks out of ideas as Thakur standing at the top of his mark. Shuffles forwards into his stride now as Mitchell gets across the stumps and pushes the ball to the offside, digging out a Yorker full straight at the off stump from Shardul Thakur. So a bit of respite at the end there, but an over that went for 14. 28 required from 60 deliveries. New Zealand at 83 for 1. Williamson 13, and Daryl Mitchell is not far off 50. Few words from you, Ravi, and then it will be Kevin Howells.
Yeah, looking like an easy victory for New Zealand here. We've mentioned that India should be a little bit careful, not see if they can drag this game out as long as possible, protect their run rate, net run rate as much as they can, because the competition is they're in a position where they will have to, they'll rely on net run rate to go through. So they've got to be a little bit careful here. Don't leave too many holes in that field there to pick up boundaries, easy boundaries for New Zealand. They don't want to make this chase overly easy, although it's looking easy and New Zealand are going to win it, but try to drag it out as long as you can.
This might not be a tactical timeout, and it's actually a drinks break, but even so, there's not a lot of talking going on amongst that Indian group of players, is there?
No, what would you say though in this situation? I mean,
I'd say, boys, pull your socks up. It's not good enough. Sort yourself out. That's what I'll be saying.
Yeah, but it's too late for him now.
Never too late, really. It's never too late.
They ain't winning from here.
I know. Okay, so maybe it is too late. But
what do you think? What do you think of the dew meter?
Oh, don't you stop me on stuff like that, please.
Come on, man. Do you, we need
intelligence.
something.
Don't look to me for intelligence.
You know, like the light meter.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of light, then you go out, or once it drops between there, then you can't go out. You can only bowl a spinner or something like that. They should have a dew meter where you measure it and you say, right, there's X amount of dew on this field.
So you're talking about the use of a meter similar to light, which brings the players off.
No. It adds runs to the team batting first, because dew makes it so much easier for the team batting second. It's just unfair. It shouldn't be just because you lose a toss.
Well, what they should be doing is they should be playing the games maybe at the same time earlier in the day or not at night time. And now, of course, there's TV implications and worldwide audiences and all that. I get that.
Then just get a dew meter.
No, I'd sort out the schedules before I'd sort out a dew meter.
Really?
Yeah, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing. I mean,
it's not cricket.
What do you mean it's not?
Would you say it's just not cricket?
No. Please don't put me in that bracket. I mean, easily done. I know some of the attitude I have towards things, but and I'm all for things being tried out, but that just doesn't seem right to me. That technology can add, and I guess there's an argument which says that.
But does it seem right to you that you lose a toss and the team goes, oh well?
Oh no, but just hold on. We've been talking for most of tonight about India's poor attitude and application of the top, haven't we? About what's led to their problems here tonight. The dew doesn't help. Of course it doesn't. 28 from 60 here for New Zealand to win this game, and surely they will do so from here with 9 wickets standing. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, I agree. On this occasion, India haven't been good enough. They've been outclassed by New Zealand. But how often do you hear captains win a toss and say, "Oh, we'll bowl first"? Why? Because the dew later on. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't like the idea of. I just like a game that's played between human beings. It always involves human beings and their skills, and you put up with the conditions, and you try and overcome the conditions, and we're in the 11th over here. Bumrah's bowling his 3rd over, and that has been pulled away. Well, I thought that was going to go a long way. It's actually gone not very far at all through mid-wicket for 1 run. 11 overs. But you're right, I'm not really the man to talk to you about exciting new innovations. I get that. However, that for me would be a little bit a step too far. However, it shows wonderful thinking from you there, Ravi, and no doubt in the next 10 years it will be brought in. You eventually will get your message through to the right person. It won't be me. To the right person. 85 for 1. We're in this 11th over. Next delivery bowls and a Yorker. Just on off stump, and Kane Williamson. It's nonchalant. It's so easy, so comfortable at the moment. But it is a great puzzle to many people getting in touch on social and things like that, saying how can it be that India's so strong with their own competition, the IPL, if you like, and yet they're struggling here. I'm going to have to ask my colleague Ishan, if you just get up and can you just tap a button on that monitor, anywhere on that monitor, and it should mean that we do not lose. No, don't use the remote. Whatever you do not use the remote. Just touch a button on the telly. That one's pushed into the offside. Tumbling stop from the skipper, and he may have a look of intent about him. However, it's not going to do them any good at the moment. If ever you have had problems in your own living room at home and you can't get anybody to sort out the telly, we've got 4 remote controls up there for our monitors, and there we are, it's all sorted. Well done, all good stuff. 85 for 1, 2 balls left of the 11th, worked away on the leg side, and they will get 1 or 2 runs. We'll go back for 2 there. Yeah, it's all steady as she goes.
Well, talking about that IPO and how strong India and how can they be in this position. Look, a lot of these players who are playing in the World Cup in other teams have been over and played the IPO and played many years in the IPO. And remember, people have caught up to India. They've gone over there, they've travelled there, they've played in those conditions and improved.
Williamson on 16, next delivery, and that's a short pitch ball. And it's been given on height as a wide there. So 88 for 1 now, 1 ball left, 11th over.
The same guys, as well as playing the IPL, they're playing their home competitions as well. And they're allowed to travel and play other leagues around other places in the world. Whereas the Indians are not. They can only play the IPL.
Surely they're there. We have just hit right on the nail there. Maybe the problem. The fact that Indian players are not allowed generally, if ever, anywhere to travel to play.
Which makes it hard for them to play in different conditions.
Williamson on 16, and that's been pushed down towards third for a single. So there now, that for me is potentially massive.
Huge. It's huge because then they don't let their players go out and play all these other leagues in, CPL, in Australia, Big Bash, England, T20. Because their players are not going out there and experiencing those conditions and playing in those conditions, when it comes to World Cups where they're played outside of the subcontinent, then questions will be asked of the Indian players because it will take them longer to get into the competition.
It's down to 22 from 54 at 89 for 1 after 11 overs. Williamson on 17, Mitchell on 47. We hope to be staying on there to actually hear from Virat Kohli at the end to see what he's got to say about this. But Abhishek, sorry if you've mentioned this bit already, but Ravi, for me, we're talking about why it is maybe that India, not just here tonight, but struggle maybe in the international stage. And we were talking about the IPL, the strengths of that, the best versus the best. Ravi's just mentioned the fact that, of course, the Indian players cannot generally, if at all ever, travel overseas to play in other franchise tournaments or other T20. This one is played down towards all along the ground, towards the edge of the circle. And all of a sudden, I'm sorry, but I've got maybe overexcited about that as being maybe a major factor and something that, dare I say, the BCCI need to take a long, hard look at or not?
Yeah, try and talk to them.
Well, I do every day. Believe it or not, they're pestering me every day to want to talk to me.
I think they want to preserve the IPL so badly that they're not going to allow Indian players to go and play anywhere else apart from the IPL, and that's been the biggest challenge for these players.
It's 22 from 53 deliveries here, and make that now 21. Another one is ticked off here for New Zealand. So you think that could, so size of contributing factor to what we're talking about here for India and their problems, how big an impact could that have if the BCCI were to take a different view of that for their international team? Could it be big?
It could be massive. It could be massive, but the question is the BCCI going to do it or not? And there's been chat earlier that the guys who are not in the top 30 of Indian cricket, at least allow them to go out and play these different tournaments elsewhere in the world, but they wouldn't even allow those players to go and play these tournaments.
It's on 47 not out from 31 balls, gets bat on that, around towards fine leg, and he moves to 48, and it moves now to 91 for 1.
I think it's really going to affect Indian T20 cricket. I think other teams are going to move ahead because they can come and play in India, so they can come and play in India, play in the IPL, the strongest competition in the world, and then as well as that, go and play every other league. Play all the conditions around the world, play more cricket, more T20 cricket, and just move ahead. They're just going to go past India.
Absolutely. You're 100% right, Ravi.
Midway through the 12th over here, New Zealand on the march towards an important win for them and wanting to get there as quickly as they can. We know that net run rate could play a really crucial key part of qualification for the semi-final. So it's down to 19 from 50 deliveries. 1 wicket only being taken out of Martin Guptill, the target being 111. And if you missed it earlier, that we do have to give a lot of credit to New Zealand for the bowling, for their disciplines, the way they go about cricket is just brilliant. However, attitude, application, just the nature of which India went about, batting at the top. We know that there is a disadvantage because they're batting first in these conditions, all that sort of thing. But, and it's not the first time that we've seen it from India. This one is played away behind square on the lakeside, and a comfortable single in the end of the score, up to 93 for 1. And it is such a puzzle, but all of a sudden it's now not so puzzling for me, maybe.
No, I think the intent was so much different when they played those practice matches. Everyone thought, okay, this is going to be the same intent when they come to play the main matches in the T20 in the World Cup. But suddenly that intent has disappeared in the last couple of games against Pakistan, and again today again against New Zealand. With Pakistan, they lost early wickets very quickly. Maybe that's the case.
Williamson on 19, pulls that behind square on the onside, and good low pick up and return throw and a single. And I do really want to stress here that this isn't a one-off in terms of this being a problem and a challenge for India. If we were, we wouldn't be talking about it so much, and we really would be emphasising, which hopefully we're doing anyway, the strength of New Zealand, because they've played a blinder here tonight. They've played brilliant cricket.
Yeah.
They really have, and we're giving them proper credit, but there is an underlying issue here which India need to address. That's the situation. 94 for 1 after 12 overs, 17 from 48 balls is the target. And we also know that India, you do need India to be strong in global events, otherwise strange things can happen. Weird things on Halloween could happen if India are not happy, if the supporters are not happy. But here at the moment it's the Kiwis, New Zealand, and of course New Zealand and Australia, the times of these matches are not good at all for a domestic audience. They'll be waking up with a bit of cheer.
Yeah, they would.
In New Zealand. So still looking for more breakthroughs, looking for a miracle, and it really would be a miracle if anything was special to happen here. Now Yorker length ball from Jasprit Bumrah, who's bowled really well.
I guess one of the things they could do with the IPL, I know they want to preserve it by keeping the core of the Indian players, the big names, there at the IPL so they don't go to other leagues, but what the only way to counteract that is play the IPL in different countries. I know they just did it in the UAE, play in England, play in New Zealand, play in Australia. So these players that we see on the screen are playing in those conditions. So when it comes to global events,
17 from 47 balls, make that 16, angle down towards third. There'll be another one on the board here for New Zealand.
I think the question would again be, Ravi, would the boards allow it? The different boards allow it. Obviously, there will be
there'll be plenty of host venues.
Yeah, there will be
all around the world.
There's plenty of commercial aspect attached to it.
Yeah.
But again, does the BCCI want to do it commercially and logistically? Does it make sense? Does it work? So yeah, there are a lot of ifs and buts, but yeah, there could be a lot of things which can be looked into. With now 2 more teams coming in with a massive price tag, the BCCI got a bit more money to invest elsewhere.
Yeah, they should do it, because otherwise what you'll find very quickly is the other teams would just move miles ahead of India, and that shouldn't happen. India, one of the biggest cricketing nations.
Mitchell on 49, down the leg side this time from Bumrah, again putting real effort into it, giving us a wide. Nothing doing here at the moment. There'll be people listening and spitting feathers at the idea that we're trying to move heaven and earth, quite literally almost, to make India better. They'll be saying, what's the issue here? Well, there is an issue here. Financially, there's an issue all round. But look, as I say, I really can't emphasise enough here that we're talking about the strength of opposition, and one of them right now is New Zealand, right in front of us. Mitchell can't get to he's taking forever here to get his half century, but he's got lots of time to do so. 49 not out of 34 deliveries.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years we'll see BCCI opening their eyes and allowing their players to play in different tournaments, the hundreds, the Big Bash, the PSL.
Sometimes it takes something like this for things to happen.
Yep.
So what you might find, if India do go crashing at the World Cup, you might find changes happening.
I was there in the West Indies when they lost that match out there in Trinidad. Mitchell here's gone aerial. How far has it gone? Has he got enough on this? No, he's been caught, and he's been caught just shy of his 50. He's gone for 49, and it's 2 wickets down. It shouldn't make a matter of any difference to the outcome of the result, but deserved his 50. So a little bit of upset disappointment for Mitchell there. Is 49 off 35 deliveries by the looks of it in the end. He tried to get plenty behind it, wanted to get to his 50 in style, I suppose, and he's looking at that all the way into the hands of the fielder. Comfortable catch, just a yard in front of the boundary. So something to cheer for the Indian supporters, but Devon Conway will come on and replace him. The catch taken by Rahul off the bowling of Bumrah. 49 off 35 balls, 4 fours, I think 3 sixes. So there in that innings, terrific knock.
Yeah, just brilliant. And I think the only positive for India from that wicket will come is that they might delay the win by a couple of overs, which can help their net run rate going forward. At the moment, it's all about India trying to delay the inevitable, delay the win as long as they can, and take it as deep as they can. And with Mitchell getting out, maybe that will increase the time a little bit.
what on earth is Glenn Phillips doing with that cricket ball there? Now, if I didn't know, he can't quite afford enough time to go to the opticians, and he's just trying to check whether he's short-sighted or not. Basically, what he's doing is holding the white ball in his left hand, and he's moving it closer and away. He must have done it about 15, 20 times there.
I think that's
strange.
Depth, getting his eyes used to, the ball moving towards him just before he goes out to bat, because he could come out to bat, and there's only 15 runs needed. So just getting his eye.
Have you seen that before then?
Yeah, I've seen him do it before. I know sometimes I've done it where I look into the distance at 2 spots, side to side, and I'll move my eye side to side and try focusing on each spot, and then do the same up and down before I go into bat. Just get the eyes moving, get the muscles around the eyes and all that ready for what's about to happen.
And then you're out first ball.
And then you're out first, and you think, what a waste of time that was.
2 balls remaining of the 13th over, 96 for 2. Conway facing, tucks him up a little there, can't get it away. The left-handed Conway, and therefore it's a dot ball. 1 ball remaining of the 15th. Attention to detail, though. Not
Give
letting
yourself
anything
every
pass.
chance. It's a hard enough game as it is. Give yourself every chance you've got.
Well, every chance you've got. We've had some emails regarding the due factor from members of the public out there.
Dew meter.
Yeah.
Are we in favour?
I'm not too sure you've got any support for it or not. We'll just take a look at a couple of them. One of them is a joke. I need to just set that out there straight away. Okay, this is a joke, the first one. Okay, from Nick Austin via emails. Captains need to do their due diligence. Do we like that? I think that's a good one.
It is a good one.
Sunday afternoon, we'll take that. Conway facing his next ball, pushed into the offside, and there will be no runs. That's 13 overs gone, 96 for 2, so it's 15 from 42 deliveries. Williamson sitting there on 21.
It's a dad joke, that, isn't it?
No, a dad joke. Well, that's why I quite liked it. You see, Nigel Boothman in Edinburgh. Ravi is missing the point. Ravi is missing the point of the toss. There's always some advantage to having the choice of batting or bowling first, most obviously when deciding who has to bat last in a test match. And then the screen just disappears. The advantage of batting when the dew comes down is just one more reason to have the toss and must be balanced with playing under lights and so on. Well, Nigel has given that a lot of in-depth thought. And he says you're missing the point. I think he's harsh there to say you're missing the point.
But he didn't make the point. What point was he trying to make?
Now, by the end of it, I myself was a little bit confused.
He was talking about Test cricket. We're talking about T20.
You're talking about T20. Yeah. But anyway, thank you, Nigel, and thank you for getting in touch.
Nigel.
Yeah.
But I think setting up the target is also a good option, which we and Isha were discussing. I was discussing with Kevin earlier that it's such a massive disadvantage if you lose the toss, that the way Duckworth Lewis works, maybe 20-25 runs added to your total at the end.
Yeah, depending on how much dew there is.
Yeah, absolutely, I think. But something needs to be done, because I'm not saying because it's India or New Zealand, it could be any other team in the world, but it is unfair when you lose the toss.
Yeah, just a toss of a coin. It's a 50-50, and there's been...
Then it's not 50-50 anymore.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you boys and your modern ways, that's all I can say, and wanting to change things. New Zealand ain't complaining here right now. 96 for 2 after 13 overs. That's played down towards the gully area by Williamson. Can't get the ball away. Get the games played at a better time of the day then. Not at night time. Although I have to say, under the lights it does look nice. And here, of course, we've got the ring of fire at this venue as well. It looks absolutely splendid. It really does. Pandya bowling at the moment, by the way. So just trying, if they can, to eke it out for as long as they can, and make sure that New Zealand don't come out of this with too strong a net run rate, which could prove really crucial. Next ball bowled full, and it's played away onto the onside. It'll just be a single. Just ticking along here. Even the stadium announcer, stroke DJ or whatever, even he's gone a little bit quiet here. He's realising now that he's not going to get a lot of support and noise from the Indian supporters. That shows just how one-sided it has been. For that stadium announcer to go quiet, something needed to have happened out there, and it's a one-sided game, basically. That's what happened. You can't get them going. And boy, he tries. 14 needed from 40 deliveries. 2 balls into the 14th over here. 97 for 2. And I can tell both these lads next to me, they want to come back in more on the dew factor here. They've got points to be made, and I hope for their sake, as New Zealand pick up another run here on the leg side, that the world is listening to them. Because if not, I'm afraid it's deaf ears over here from me, I'm afraid. So now, you carry on, Ravi.
No, I want to ask a question to Abhishek about the Indian players who are restricted from going out and playing other T20 leagues. Do they want to go out and play other T20 leagues? Are they desperate
absolutely.
to go?
A lot of them. I think Yuvraj saying...
Even the big players?
Even the big players, they wanted to. I think Suresh Raina and Yuvraj, obviously, after they retired, they approached it, because when you've not retired, you don't want to mess with BCCI.
Midway through the 14th over, 98 for 2. Next ball, lifted over the top, ramped past the keeper. It's going to be 4 runs. It's now down to 9 required. Oh, there's our friend, the stadium announcer. But as I say, he's not getting a lot of response from the crowd. 102 for 2. So the 100 is past here. The target 111, just leaning back and lifted over the top, well out of the reach actually of the keeper, not over the top, and to the side, to his left-hand side. So Williamson moves to 26 with that boundary. 26 off 27 deliveries, 102 for 2. 2 balls remaining of the 14th over. Come back to you on that point, because you got more to add in a second or two. Williamson, head down, all smiles behind the grill there of his helmet, ducks out of the way of that one through to the... And it's a wide, leg side wide. Oh, it's a little trickle of emotion here now, and a trickle towards the victory. 103 for 2.
Again, going back to the same point, I think the players needs to make a bit more of an issue out there more than anybody else, because if the top player says you want to go out there and play these tournaments and then make a point and get into a tussle or whatever with BCCI, I think at some point BCCI will have to take a call. But I think they are so content because they are looked after so well from the BCCI and from their respective franchise. They don't want to upset them in any way.
Williamson on 26 here for New Zealand, reaching that and lifting it over the top for 1 bounce and a 4. Through wide, long off, and he moves to... Well, I haven't got his individual score, but I can tell you New Zealand are to 4 from 37 deliveries. So he's trying to get on with it. Good use of the feet there, reaching for it a little, but always in control. And a good shot, and it bounces, 10 yards inside the boundary rope out there on the offside. And now really within touching distance. A really important win for New Zealand. Let's not lose track of that as well. This is so important for them in the hopes of progression. So next ball bowled, full, and worked away onto the onside, this time by Williamson. And it's down to 3 now from 36 for the victory. And let's see if he gets any response here, the stadium announcer. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't think even Sweet Caroline, although that would never be used, would muster anything but a murmur. Right, 108 for 2 after 14 overs here. I don't think I'm going to hear anybody scream, mate. Nobody's going to... Well, Abhishek, he may be screaming in a few moments' time, but he won't be screaming for you in the stadium there.
I don't think I'll be screaming. I'll just go quiet.
Oh, no. Not a sulk.
Not a sulk.
No, a reflective moment.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what I always say if I get accused at home of sulking. I say, no, it's just a reflective moment, OK?
I do love watching Kane Williamson bat.
Good.
Yeah, you have to. If you love batting, you got to love Kane Williamson bat, and Babar Azam when he did in the last game against India.
Because?
Just pleasing to the eye. Good players. You got to admire good players.
And always again, seemingly got it under control.
Yeah,
always under control. Thakur is going to bowl this 15th over. New Zealand on the brink with Williamson on 31. Can he see them over the line himself? Well, he'll steer that one down to 3rd for a single, so it's down to 2 needed for victory. And the score now 109 for 2 in the 15th over. Did we ever get to mention that period of no boundary in 70 balls? Did you mention that at the halfway mark?
No, I forgot that. Yeah, and the same thing happened in the previous 2016 World Cup as well, where India couldn't score a single boundary against New Zealand between the 7th or the 15th over. And they've repeated it again today. So they didn't hit any boundary between that time.
And worked away on the onside behind, squared down towards fine leg for one more. Jogging through the agony of this 1 run by 1 run, really. Taking New Zealand, and the score is now level at 110 for 2. And this may be New Zealand, but we ain't going to get a super over tonight, folks, OK? Even with New Zealand, they are so much in control. Oh, Virat Kohli. I wonder how long it's going to be before they can persuade him to come out for that chant the captains are supposed to do at the end of the game. We could be waiting here quite some time. I wonder if he's going to be in a reflective mood. A one needed for New Zealand for what will be a massive victory for them, and it's Kane Williamson who's going to achieve that. Works it away on the onside, and that is a victory for New Zealand. Terrific win for them. They need it in their group to try and keep in touch with Pakistan, but an 8-wicket victory, chasing only 111 to get there as well. This is more than disappointing for India. It's a dreadful result from their point of view. They've played 2 and they've lost 2, and they've lost them heavily. They have lost them really, really heavily. So much for them to think about, but many congratulations to New Zealand and Kane Williamson. From the word go, always under control, always got it sorted. Didn't really, as much as we may be critical and questioning of India, they didn't give them a sniff. Not a sniff in this game, and that's why they have come out triumphant.
Yeah, back-to-back thumping from India. It's not a defeat, it's a proper thumping. It's first from Pakistan and now with New Zealand. And there's a lot of questions to be asked, a lot of questions to be answered. And Virat Kohli is somebody who needs to, again, retrospect and think about the things which has not gone right. And nothing has gone right for India, actually.
No, they've struggled. I think, 10-wicket loss against Pakistan, 8-wicket loss against New Zealand. There's obviously not enough runs being put on the board by the Indian batsmen. Still struggling in these conditions, even though they've just played 2 months of cricket in the UAE. I think that's enough time to get used to the conditions. They've got plenty of people out there to help them. Net bowlers, people will throw to you all day to get used to the conditions. They've had enough opportunity to get themselves going, but they just haven't. They just haven't got any runs on the board. They're not coming out batting with any intent, and I think you've got to have intent in T20 cricket on the world stage. You've got to throw the first punch from over 1, get a big score in the first 6 overs, because it's tough throughout the middle. We've seen in the UAE and they've not thought about that. They've not factored that into their game. But New Zealand, on the other hand, their seamers were incredible to start with. They swung the ball, they pitched it on a good length. They made it difficult for they asked questions of the Indian batters, and the Indian batters didn't answer.
Yeah, they asked the right question, and India even got Mahendra Singh Dhoni as a mentor. Even that didn't work.
Yeah, he's a smart cookie. He would know.
He would know exactly what to do, because he's somebody who can assess the game very, very quickly. He can assess the pitch, he can assess conditions, and he's somebody who's won it all. I think, but at the moment, India, to be honest, is playing substandard cricket.
And just talk of the captaincy here. I mean, this is Virat Kohli's only his last. He's pulling out a team, but Ravi Shastri, I mean, he's on his way as well.
Yep.
Did I see the Wall is interested?
The Wall
in taking over as coach as well, which would be very interesting. We've only come across him a little bit ourselves in the commentary team, but he looks a very measured individual. He never seems to get carried away. Daryl, Dravid, and everything's really himself. I imagine he would go about preparation in a similar way to New Zealand, in such detail that you know him well, no doubt, and whether that would be a good move. But here you're looking at the leaders, the captain and the coach. And maybe the challenges they face dealing with the BCCI, even in that position, I don't know. But you've got to look at them at the moment and ask some serious questions, don't you?
Well, there will be, and obviously Rahul Dravid will come in as the coach. That's pretty much guaranteed that he'll be the next coach for India. But again, we have to wait and see who becomes the next captain in the T20 format for India. There's no guarantee that Rohit Sharma is going to become the captain. There are other names which have been thrown in the hat as well. So, but those are for later. India needs to think something for right now. What do they need to do right now to try and win matches in this competition? They're still not out of the tournament. If New Zealand loses against Afghanistan, and if India can beat Afghanistan, things are still open. But again, net run rate will be a very, very crucial factor, which has taken a massive beating for India in tonight's game.
I think the question I would need to ask, and if anybody can be convinced of the answer here, is if you put it to the BCCI, if you were brave enough to, and actually put it to them, which actually matters more to you, the IPL and holding on to everything that's really important about that, or international cricket with India, whether or not they'd actually be saying IPL.
I think Isha is the perfect person to answer that. She's smiling.
Which is it going to be, IPL or... If you're looking at it and needing to preserve... Now, don't worry, there's nobody else listening. It's just us. Nobody else is listening. No, but
don't ask me that question.
The BCCI will not... Oh, look out. Oh, now, here's somebody...
There's an interview.
About to be interviewed. I'm not too sure who...
No, he's just a sponsor.
He's just there's no such thing as just, my friend. Here we go. Sorry,
He's called me in the bed, especially the wicket keepers behind the stumps. Tom Latham's the big one, and Tim Seifert in this group.
Now, talking of giving oneself birthday presents, that's a pretty handsome one you've given yourself. So,
he's got player of the match here.
Tell me, when you're playing a team like India that's much celebrated, what kind of preparation do you have pre-game? Are you big on pre-match prepping?
Yeah, I'm usually quite big on pre-match prep, and I guess with this bubble life, we haven't been able to see the ground until the day we, come to the ground. So this is the first time we've stepped foot in Dubai Stadium. The wicket was one that we had to adapt to pretty quickly. It's very different to what we played in Sharjah, and the boundary sizes were very different either side. So it was something that you had to be quick to adapt to.
And big one with the analytics, you've got a wonderful matchup against 2-3 India's leading batsmen.
Yeah, look, I think a big part of our game is using those spin bowlers through the middle. It's always often set up by the power play bowlers, and I think Tim Southee getting that wicket late in the power play was massive for us and allowed us to do our job through the middle.
It's a great moment this for the side.
Massively, yeah. I think we had a tough loss against Pakistan. It was hard not to think this was a really big game, and coming into the game, we wanted to play as good a game as we possibly could, and to play the way we did tonight, I think, is one to definitely celebrate.
Right, quick one before you go to celebrate. I know you're a quizzer, so I've got a quiz question for you. Your figures the last time India played New Zealand in a World Cup T20.
3 for 18. It's hard to forget that one.
You did well. Congratulations and all the best. Loved watching you play today.
Thanks, Asha.
I thought he was going to ask him the question, who do you think the BCCI would prefer more? He didn't seem to ask that question, which was most surprising, Marshall Bogan, to miss out on that one. But you do want to say something, and maybe on something completely irrelevant.
I think the answer to that question will be the way the BCCI and the Indian team go about their business going forwards after this tournament, because I think this is a significant moment. They got themselves to the Test Championship final. They lost to New Zealand there. They weren't able to get to the final of the one-day World Cup. The one thing I would say is that their preparation coming into this tournament was everything they could have hoped for. That all of the players playing in the UAE coming into a T20 World Cup, they were used to the conditions. India against New Zealand on their patch, 5-0. They won down there. Yep. They beat Australia convincingly with a strong side earlier on in the year. They've beaten England sometimes, so it's not as if they haven't been winning T20 games of cricket together as a team in the last couple of years. They have. It's just the situation that they've come up against. The very first game, they were stunned in the opening overs. I actually thought their approach early on today was the right thing to do against a very convincing, experienced seam attack in Tim Southee and Trent Boult. But it was, you look at the way they got dismissed. Ishan Kishan coming in place of Suryakumar Yadav. He probably wouldn't have expected to play. Short ball, he goes after it. I actually think it was smart bowling from New Zealand more than... You look at KL Rahul's dismissal, another short ball that goes straight to hand. Rohit Sharma, a short ball that goes to hand. Those deliveries, they're looking to hit those for 6s and 4s. So I just think it's a situation. It's 2 games. They've had a poor start to this tournament, and I think you have to be pragmatic as well as obviously think about where they have gone wrong.
Are you telling us to take a chill pill here? Is that what you're doing? Saying don't get too carried away. But you mentioned success overseas in different conditions, internationally in those bilateral series. I also think that we're seeing here a perfect example, if needed, of just the difference between bilateral cricket and games and a world tournament, of course.
Absolutely, and it evens up a bit more in T20 cricket. Everyone knows that. The shorter the format, it brings other teams into it a bit more. I'm not making excuses for India by any means. They have been poor. They have been poor. By their standards, they have been terrible. But I do think you have to look at their preparation coming into it and, what would they have changed? I don't know. I mean, maybe less cricket. Yeah. That they've been playing a lot of cricket.
That, whether they cricketed out almost. T20 cricketed out.
Yeah, probably. They played too much cricket. See, again, whoever talks about this, there'll be questions about finding excuses in India's performance, but no one's trying to find excuse. It's just that, as you mentioned, they couldn't have had a better preparation in terms of the way they prepared during the IPL. They played enough T20 games, so no one can complain that we haven't had T20 cricket. We're just coming from England after playing Test cricket, so we didn't get the time to prepare for T20. So they had the perfect preparation, but as Isha said, in the first match, as I mentioned earlier as well, that they were blown away by Pakistan medium pace attack. When you lose 2 or 3 wickets in the first 6 overs, you can't have that intent. You can't, but they still recovered well and get to 150. But today I just felt that they could have gone after the bowling a little bit more than they did, and probably hence they they didn't lose too many wickets in the power play. They lost the second wicket in the last ball of the power play where Rahul went to try and pull that ball and got out. But apart from that, you just felt that even in the middle period where Rishabh, Pant and Virat Kohli were batting, I think they didn't look to hit any boundaries. They were very, very content with those 1 and 2s. Even if you lose wicket in T20 cricket, you still got to hit the bad balls. That's what they didn't do in the middle period.
Okay, just hold on a second, because we're just keeping one eye as well on the situation following this New Zealand victory by 8 wickets. We get the player of the match interview, and that's gone to Ishodi there. He's 2 for 17 from 4 overs, richly deserved. And I do like the tendency in this competition to be giving player of the match awards to the bowlers and not always the batters. I mean, last night, you might have thought that Butler might have got that. Oh, look out, here comes the man himself, Asha Bogle, that is, talking here with Virat Kohli.
Can you explain what happened? I mean, why and how it, just for the fans?
Quite bizarre. I mean, I thought we were, to be very honest, very brutal up front. I don't think we were brave enough with the bat or ball. I mean, with the ball, obviously, we didn't have much to play with. But we were just not brave enough in our body language when we entered the field. And New Zealand had better intensity, better body language, and they created pressure on us from the first over onwards, really, and continued that through the innings. And every time we felt like we want to take a chance, we lost a wicket. And that happens in T20 cricket, but that's most probably or most often a result of you know, that little bit of hesitation with the bat when you feel like should you go for the shot or not to.
It's a tricky one, this, but it's something a lot of fans ask about. Can the weight of expectation sometimes play on a team on a big day?
Well, look, I mean, when you play for the Indian cricket team, you obviously have a lot of expectations. Everyone knows that. Not only from the fans, but from the players themselves. I mean, wherever we play, we are watched. People come to the stadiums to support us. So there's always going to be more with our games. That's always been the case, and we've embraced it over the years. And you know, everyone who plays for the Indian team obviously has to embrace that as well and learn how to cope with it. And when you cope with that as a team, you're able to, you know, overcome that pressure and those tough situations. And we haven't in these 2 games, and that's why we haven't won.
Must be a slightly deflating kind of day, but there's 3 games. So how do you pick yourself up for the games to come?
No, look, I mean, there's only one way to play in T20 cricket. You have to be optimistic, you have to be positive, take calculated risks, and that's what this format is all about. Just because you're the Indian cricket team and there's expectations doesn't mean that you start playing the format differently. So I think we have to disconnect from that a little bit and just back ourselves out there and you know, take pride in performing for the team. And as long as individuals are looking to do that, I think we'll be fine. There's a lot of cricket to play in this tournament, and something that we all must look forward to, and certainly the team must look forward to, and go out with a positive frame of mind.
And it's something that's characterized your cricket. So wish you well for the 3 games ahead, Virat.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we'll wait and see if Kane Williamson's going to be brought straight back in.
Always positive, as indeed is the gentleman who's coming to join me now.
I love the tactic there, by the way. It's not me asking these awkward questions. It's the fans. It's the fans, they need to know. Did you notice that?
Today. Can you give us
Kane Williamson next
to the planning that goes behind a game like this?
Yeah, there's always planning going into games, but like you say, it was a fantastic all-round performance from our side against a formidable Indian outfit who, you know, are always going to put up an incredible fight. And like you say, today a number of things went our way, and we're very clinical in all facets. And you know, the first half of the game was set up beautifully on a surface that wasn't easy to find rhythm on, and we're able to build pressure throughout. And then the way that the openers came out and got us off to a great start really set the platform for the chase.
It's an interesting approach against India. We saw that in 2016 in Nagpur. We saw it here again. Spin to win against the land of spin.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's just trying to adapt to the conditions as well as you can. And for us, the balance of our attack has those 2 spinners in it, and they both were outstanding today. But I think the collective unit was outstanding, the way they sort of passed the baton and kept applying pressure. And, you know, it was a really strong performance for us. And, you know, I think we saw a lot of good signs in our first match as well, which was a very tight one. And we're able to build on that and put it out here tonight.
It's a line that's been attributed often to New Zealand, and maybe it's an unfair line, but everyone says New Zealand punch above their weight.
Yeah, I mean, look, you play against such strong teams all the time, and India's, you know, the strongest, I suppose, and there's so many throughout this tournament, and, you know, every time you turn up to play here, there's match winners in every side. So for us, it's really focusing on our cricket and our style of play and trying to commit to that wholeheartedly, and I think we saw that today.
And the reason I said unfair was precisely that, because your track record is fantastic. Someone like Ish Sodhi, what do you talk to someone like Ish Sodhi? He seems to enjoy playing against India, and he's taken, what, more wickets than anybody else this year?
Ish is an outstanding T20 bowler, white ball bowler in particular, and he's been a big part of our side for a long period of time, and he's played in a number of comps around the world as well, so he's very experienced, and a big part of our side. So those two spinners through the middle for us have been huge, and I suppose when you come into these sorts of conditions, you do expect that spin plays a big part.
Must make you feel a lot better after that performance against Pakistan, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, there we are.
Right, there you go.
Was it just me, or was that second interview just a little bit easier and more comfortable than the first? Just a little bit there. Mind you, I got to say, Kane Williamson, he's too good. You are too good, my friend, Kane Williamson. He's the way he goes about his cricket, the way he does his interviews as well. But let's turn to you, Ravi, on this one. First, the response we saw from the Indian skipper. In fairness to him, very honest assessment, really, of the match itself.
Yeah, he made the assessment we did. The Indian batsmen not being brave enough at the start. We talked about it in the first 3 overs. They hardly played a shot. They were playing some dead bat shots. In T20 cricket, you should never really play dead bat shots. So you're still trying to push the ball into a gap if you can get one. Push it to mid-on, mid-off. Be a bit more firm and assertive on the bowler. Put the bowler under pressure. Because these are good bowlers. They're not going to feed you bad balls. They're going to bowl well if you're going to allow them to bowl well. Hit their good balls. Get one or two of their good balls away. Make them bowl bad balls. Make them change their fields. Put some pressure on them. But India didn't do that. They didn't even look like doing it for the first 12 to 15 deliveries. And that's a long period in T20 cricket. Because if you lose wickets after that, if you decide, right, now we're going to put the pressure after 3 overs and you lose 2 quick wickets, you've gone nowhere, you've lost early wickets, now you've got to rebuild. You're in bother at that stage.
I mean, they would have prepared really hard and worked really hard in preparation, but it almost had a look and a feel at the times if we're feeling our way into the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think so on the back of that first game, and I think they were a bit tentative, but remember they're up against Trent Boult and Tim Southey, who have done it against them in the past. The spinner comes on, they're not able to get him away. I think they did start to show intent, but then they just kept getting out. And then in the middle overs, you could see there was that intent from Pandya and Pant, but every time they wanted to get it away, Virat Kohli even, he was trying to force the issue, but he just couldn't get the ball away. So whether it was the conditions, you have to credit New Zealand as well for some really good bowling and keeping control.
Can I just go through the group as it stands? Pakistan are top. They've played 3, they've won 3, they're on 6 points. Afghanistan, a victory today over Namibia by 62 runs. That was 3 matches played. Afghanistan, 2 wins and 1 defeat. They're on 4 points. Then New Zealand have played 2. Let's just remind ourselves, New Zealand, in fact, all the other teams are 1 behind the top 2 in terms of games played. New Zealand played 2, won 1, lost 1. They're on 2 points. Namibia on 2 points, with the same, of course. India on no points. Having seen 2 games and 2 defeats. The same also for Scotland. Played 2 and lost 2. So no points for India and Scotland at the bottom. New Zealand, Namibia in 3rd and 4th, that way around. So that's the way the group stands. As we say, it's going to be all pretty tight. If Pakistan continue on their roll, their momentum against 2 of the smaller nations, you'd expect them to do that. It's all about that one other spot, isn't it, at the moment? We've almost run out of time. Abhishek, I cannot let you go without seeing just how you are, making sure you're all right before you walk out that door. Are you okay?
I'm absolutely fine.
What did you think? What did you think of the skipper's response there on the interview?
I think it was a very honest interview. He's very good with his interviews, Virat, and I think he spoke the right. He said the right things, and he was spot on. It's just, and also we need to understand that India lost to 2 very good sides. They haven't lost to Namibia or they haven't lost to Scotland. Those 2 games were not Namibia and Scotland. Those were Pakistan, and I'm not saying they are bad sides, but if they lost to Namibia or Scotland, that would be even worse. But they have lost to 2 top international sides, and that can happen to anybody.
Okay, and I do somewhere have your home address and your email for any correspondence that passed my way from the BCCI. I think it's you that we shall make sure all correspondence is addressed to. Look, massive disappointment for India, I know, but well done to New Zealand. That was a terrific performance, really was, 100% for them. So well done. I enjoyed it. It was tense. I knew it was going to be tense. I didn't think it'd be tense in terms of the story rather than the game itself. It's the story that still makes me tense at the moment with India. And also well done to Afghanistan, because I could see them going into the semi-final still in a really good position with a victory over Namibia. Thank you, Ravi. Got England, Sri Lanka tomorrow, of course. I know you'll be looking forward to that. Abhishek, thank you. Ishan Guar as well. Thank you very much. So you can watch the best of the action from both of
But Manchester City, she had a really illustrious career there, top goal scorer. I think she just needs to adapt and settle in this Arsenal side.
0-0, 35 minutes gone.
I was at the game here at Meadow Park where she scored the Champions League, and it was such an early goal. It was under 4 minutes, and I think seeing that you thought, oh, she's going to have a brilliant start to her Arsenal career here, but it's just, I guess it's that lack of game time and starts that she's had. She's come on off the bench to make an impact in games, but Arsenal have already...
Do you feel right midfield of a 3 or a 4 is their best position? We saw her be so prolific for Man City as the number 9. Phil Neville, the former England manager, played her on the right. Leon, she played at the right. She's come to Arsenal, she's playing on the right. Do you think she's a number 9 or?
Well, we've not seen her in that number 9 position now for such a long time. Be interesting to see how she performs there, but she seems to have almost cemented a place out wide, and I do understand the logic behind it when you've got a player with pace who can get in behind, and when you've got players like Miedema who can lead that front line. It does make sense, but today you would have expected her to play that number 9 position, but Jonas Eidevall's opted for Caitlin Ford.
Yeah, it was a surprise seeing the lineup. It was also be intriguing with even Miedema not being involved in the squad. Ibuchi is on the bench. Excuse me. Williamson, 36 minutes gone. You haven't missed anything here. Oh, it was me and Sam being chatted away about Nikita Paris. No chances for either. It's just being Arsenal try to find a way through this Brighton wall. And Brighton trying to relieve some sort of pressure. And maybe an opening. They've yet to have a shot on target. And for them now, it must be with 9 minutes to the second half. Get to half.